What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
What's up, everybody? We are live. We are here for Theory for Theory. Okay, this is actually, weirdly enough, I went and I looked, and I didn't even realize this, but this is the first collab of 2024 on the channel, which for some reason is happening in the middle of March. I didn't realize that we hadn't had a Theory for Theory this year yet. I guess some other things got in the way, and we did different things on break weeks. But our first guest of the year is a returning guest who actually has not been on the channel for a 1v1 since summer of 2022. So
wow.
It has almost been 2 years since we had Par for a 1v. We've done other collabs.
Yeah.
We have multiple rivalries and all, and different things. I was on your channel, but you know, we are running this back, and I went back to our first Theory for Theory back then, and
good times,
like right before this started. And I realized I'm wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so wild. For so many reasons.
For so many reasons. But, you know, I did, you know, I put this shirt on because, like, it needs to be said and stated at the beginning of this, you know, that this is, you know, big dedications. Big shout outs to the GOAT, one of the GOATest of GOATs, Akira Toriyama, who I am still recovering from this news, but you know, we gotta shout out. You know.
That's wild that was the first time. I did the same thing. It was funny. We hopped on the call and had the same thing, but you had many layers to you brought it back from 2 years ago. That's so wild. Like, yeah, I'm still in the same way. It's crazy. It's crazy. I know so many people who are like unaffected by the news. I'm just like, and then I'm seeing like El Salvador, China, all these other countries making like I think El Salvador declared national mourning for Toriyama. I think China's foreign ministry put out something. I think a few European countries as well. Like world leaders around, like, and productions, other studios, other medias, they're all paying tribute, and it's just so wild, like, that we got this news this over the weekend or earlier this week.
Yeah, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely like a, you know, you had to be there moment, you know, and it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, like, growing up in Manhattan while all of that was happening, like, if you weren't watching Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, like, what were you doing when you came to school? Because that's all we were talking about. Everybody. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter where you sat at the lunch table, you were talking about Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And you know, at the playground and everything, you were shooting Kamehameha waves. Like, that was it. And we would not be here right now if it wasn't for him making his story. And because it inspired so many other people. Now, of course, you know, like, I'm older now. I look back at Dragon Ball, I look back at Dragon Ball Z, and I have a much more critical lens towards, like, you know, the material and everything like that. But I can't separate what it did for me back then, because it brought me where I am right now.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, especially younger people who, you know, they didn't have the ability to watch it at an age where it's like they were young and it was like made for that certain demographic, you know, Shonen was. And it's like if you're growing up with Demon Slayer and then you look back at Dragon Ball, it doesn't feel as nuanced as some of the new stuff coming out. But that's because at the time, you have to go back 30 years ago. and you have to look at the context, you have to look at the landscape, and you have to realize that like that created the landscape. I forget who posted the thing of like the Shonen Jump cover before Toriyama and after Toriyama, and it was like everything was kind of similar style, whatever. But then Toriyama came in, and the art was insane. That's something even like Oda, Kishimoto, like your favorite mangaka, they all have said, and like Oda specifically said like he learned like how to draw because of like trying to draw like Dragon Ball characters and going through and seeing and being inspired. There's actually, I made a short about it, how like in like 1995 Toriyama in a side in the background of one of the scenes, I forget what character was like lasering down some city. There's a character with a vest and a straw hat. It looks exactly like Luffy, and this is before One Piece even started, so people had the like speculation that like maybe Oda was reading that and he just like took that and ran with it, because it's literally like you cannot mistake. It looks like Luffy, but this is before Luffy. This is before any of the things. Pretty sure it was 1995 when it came out in Dragon Ball, like the last year of it.
Now that I haven't seen, and I need to see that.
Yeah. So I forget where I have this short, but it's so wild. And like hearing, and like Oda has had interviews with Toriyama, but also when he's talking with Kishimoto, when he's talking with Aoyama, he always brings up Dragon Ball and how like his motivation and drive was essentially when Dragon Ball ended. It was like a Yonko. It was like the Pirate King stepping down, and who is gonna be the next Pirate King of the manga world. And that's what drove Oda. People might not know this, but Oda's insanely competitive, like insanely. Like the way he talks, he's super nice, and they all laugh about it. But
so
like,
what you're saying is that Toriyama is Roger.
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. Like
it's a great comparison.
It's if Shanks and Mihawk, right? Like Oda's Shanks and then Aoyama. I'm not saying that like this is a direct comparison, but I'm saying like Mihawk is like a lone wolf. He doesn't really care about the pirate world, right? Or the Pirate King, whatever title, right? Aoyama had the same like essential run as Oda, Detective Conan's author, where it's like 1,000, he's at 1,000 chapters as well, 30 plus years or whatever. And so Oda in that interview was just like, yeah, man, like when Toriyama stepped down, I was like, you were my rival. I needed to take you down, blah, blah. And Aoyama was like, huh? Wait, what? Like, there was a rivalry? And Oda was like, yeah, dude, I didn't even read your stuff because I was so angry. And I was like, what, Oda? And then Aoyama was just like, it was that intense. And then Oda was like, wait, you weren't competing with everybody? and Oda was just, in every single interview he brings up
meanwhile Aoyama is just like, bro, I'm doing Law and Order for kids.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even
it's funny because in the interview, Oda got so confused about Aoyama's like disposition. He's like, what was your childhood like? Like, how did you not grow up? Were you never competitive? And it was just like, it was so funny to read that interview. But Oda's like obviously always you know, he brings a laugh out of everybody. And I like remember with Horikoshi, which is My Hero's author. I think he brought up Dragon Ball too, but in that regard, Horikoshi learned from Oda, and he was in Oda published his art in like volume 30 or something, or not volume 30, like volume 14 or something like that. And so Horikoshi then grew up and then joined the world, and it's still everybody's paying respects to Toriyama, no matter how far down, wherever. If you worked in that building, if you worked in that structure, you know, it's so insane how everybody like people are posting, like Fairly Odd Parents, I posted that, Billy and Mandy, like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, everybody, they knew what was up, you know, because Toonami brought Dragon Ball to us.
Life.
Yeah,
life.
Yeah.
Like, I look, man, I mean, like in the early internet and all that, I saw someone in the chat was just like, is Randy 40? I'm like, no, not yet. not yet. All right. I was there for the beginning of all of this in America, though. But
Hey, yo, chill on the numbers though.
no. Still very much in my 30s. But yes, the no, but look, like one of my like biggest character goats of all time, you know, is it's to this day is Yamcha. You know, I put a post on Twitter, I put a post on YouTube. Like my first internet handle, my first email, everything, you know, they're not active now or anything like that. But I mean, like I went by Yamcha 1031. That was it. Like I was a Yamcha stan. I'm still salty to this day for how Toriyama, you know, like forgot that my man existed. But hey, in his prime, that was my guy. He's still my guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like I was on Dragon Ball forums, all this stuff. Like if anybody hears me talk about like how I got into One Piece or anything like that when I do other collabs, like it always starts with I was on a Dragon Ball forum. I saw someone with an Ace profile picture and was like, who's that? What's that from? And then like I like started reading One Piece and I was like, oh, like this is crazy. Like and it was like after being like the biggest like Dragon Ball fan in the world, I like shifted over because like One Piece, you know, and I don't mean this to slight anything that we're saying here, but it was just like Toriyama was amazing at crafting this world and crafting his characters, but sometimes he forgot about some of his characters, and I feel like Oda doesn't. And that's something that like brought me to One Piece and everything like that. Like I felt like everybody on the crew got their own time to shine.
Yeah, that was actually again, as far as like context and landscape goes, Oda said something, and I personally, you know, I'm not 40 or older, but I'd imagine you'd have to be in that age group to really know what Oda meant by this. But he was saying that like Dragon Ball and One Piece both came at a time where it wasn't typical to have a cohesive story all the way through. It was like each chapter was, yes, it was the same characters, but it was like each chapter or each episode, it was like a sitcom type of feeling. And
Isolated
I
stories.
Right. So then as far as like with Dragon Ball, they shifted from that. Like you were saying, it's like some of these characters, they had their time, but then it kind of like shifted. And apparently that wasn't a normal thing at the time for most other media. But again, I can't speak on that personally. I just remember that from an interview, and I was like, wow, I want to see more of those pieces. But I remember a lot of like I would imagine they feel like all the one shots that Oda, and I know Oda and Aoyama, I read their one shots, that was probably more typically the case, which is why they made so many of them. But yeah, it's like it's so wild thinking back like where I was and how old I was. Like when you said in New York, Dragon Ball, you're right. Like cause I was from Connecticut, and so like, you know, my school was diverse, and so we had a lot of like support for, you know, that kind of thing. But outside of my school, outside of that region, you couldn't bring up anime, Dragon Ball, whatever. But whenever I went to New York all the time to see all my friends upstate in the city, whatever, and Dragon Ball was always something. I like a flashback just came back. Like we pop the movie in at like a family get together. Like all the parents were like having some barbecue. We'd go inside and just start watching like the Broly movie or something like that. And it was just a bunch of like us dudes just like screaming when something happened, you know? Oh man. And then acting the fight. I mean, I don't even know if kids do that anymore because like it's not safe or something. But I remember we threw each other like if we saw, I don't know, Goku, Vegeta, we were throwing hands. Everyone was flying, you know, jumping off the bed, breaking stuff. I remember one of my like, I forget what happened, but I mean this is crazy, but like we were like play fighting, and then I threw somebody and then he threw me, and I broke a closet like with my back, like I broke a closet door, and then we were like, oh shit. And then like we tried to fix it, like we were like 10 or something, and we were trying not to get in trouble. And then like it wasn't like I was mad or anything. It didn't like, it hurt, but not like that. And it's because I just threw him, so he threw me. It was fine. That's how Dragon Ball was. So you know, take it as it is. Maybe Dragon Ball wasn't the best influence, but I came out okay. No problems there. We all came out good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here, let me shout out some people in the chat real quick. First of all, shout out to Katarina Productions for the lavish bracket activity on 2 counts. upgraded to lavish bracket in the membership, and super chatted. Big Dono said, enjoy two of the goat cooks of One Piece YouTube.
Hey,
Parvision,
the Young Cooks.
He said, I loved your cook with Sai on Sanji's final opponent. Holy Night Chef Mike. And then said, like these stream. So listen to the boy Container Productions right there.
Shout out to you. That was deep in that video.
Like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. And then we got Lucy B, who said, fun fact, the next planetary alignment is on April 4th, 2024. Could this also be Math Piece? Everything can be Math Piece. And then another big shout out, because I already see it's going in the chat. Yes, today is Chrissy's birthday. So I want to see nothing but happy birthday, Chrissy, in the chat.
Happy birthday, Chrissy. I was surprised when Randy hit me up. It was just like, hey, you want to come on? And then I was like, anything for you, bro. And then he said, this is Chrissy's birthday. I was like, damn, I must be. And now you're saying it's the first theory for theory. Man, you really. I see. I guess I'm the birthday present.
It just, it also just felt right, man. I mean, I think with a lot of the stuff that's been going on with the manga lately, I feel like we can get into some pretty crazy discussions today. And I see Dak in the chat. I see Kev in the chat.
Shout outs to them.
So Umbrella supered and said, Goat D, Troy, and Par Peace. But yeah, I mean, just to wrap up the Toriyama of it all, like, we can't deny the man's influence. It's just I remember, like, I have so many fond memories of like Dragon Ball related stuff. Like, there was this place down the street that had like these bootleg VHS tapes back in the day, man. And they had, like, I remember
I have all of them.
like Toonami was only like at Namek, bro, and then but they had the start of the Android saga. They had, Trunks slicing up Frieza in Japanese with subtitles.
With the worst translations ever of all time. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Because I was automatically the coolest person coming into school that day. Because I had this information that nobody else had. People were coming over. I was like, you gotta see this thing. There's this new character. All this thing. Like, look at what he does to Frieza. Yeah, that was probably the coolest I ever was in my whole life.
That was another, because like my parents wouldn't buy me those DVDs, so I saved up couch cushion money, try to get the bootleg stuff. I was a kid, but like I had all of them. I even I had a Game Boy Advance, like a SP or whatever. And I forget where I got this cartridge, but it had Dragon Ball movies in it. So like when I would go, like sometimes I'd just be staring at my screen. My parents were like, "Stop playing games." I was like, "I'm not playing games. I'm watching Dragon Ball." And I just like, I remember running around just like with that and watching wherever I went. Oh my God, re-listening to the intro. With the worst, that one had good translations, but the DVDs is like, we don't need words. I get the vibe,
I don't know if any translation was worse than the actual first dub that was like so edited and everything. Like, Tien gets his arm chopped off, and it's just like, wait till it grows back. Like Nappa shoots the helicopter, and it's just like, I can see their parachutes.
Yeah,
everybody's going to another dimension, home for infinite losers. Like, Like, you know,
Yeah.
we had it rough back then, but I mean that's probably how like 4Kids One Piece fans feel. I got to shout out Barry Motivated, who did a big super chat for Chris's birthday, who said, like, every year, first drinks on me. Happy birthday, love, Terror Pirates, forever. And then Chrissy did her member chat and says, shout out to Barry for the B-Day Final Fantasy tips. Baby Pluto N said, two legends. One is young, the other is grandpa.
Oh no. I forgot one chapter and then I can't live it down. And now
you forgot a chapter? What do you mean?
Like I just I was like on my watch party streams, I like leak a lot of my future theories, and so I was talking about a script I was just working on. I had the chapter in my mind and I was like so certain, and then I just sat there for like 10 minutes because I was frustrated because I was like, where is this chapter? And my chat was just like, oh no, he's losing it, the dementia's setting in. I'm like, no.
Which chapter was it? Because you don't forget now.
Oh.
If you were there for 10 minutes like that, you don't forget now.
Yeah. Shout out to 3 Day. What I was explaining to everybody was that Oda never called the Straw Hats the Straw Hat Pirates until I think it's volume 17 or something like that, which is chapter 255. So in the volume books that you get before it starts, there's a character page, and the character pages, it has like the titles of what groups they're in or whatever. He never labeled the Straw Hats as the Straw Hat Pirates until chapter 255 in that. And so like the theory part of it was, and this is a old theory, but the theory part was that ever since volumes, in Skypiea. So the reason why is because in chapter 253, that's the first time Luffy says it's time to call an official Straw Hat meeting about what we should do about the thing. And he had like a funny name, but an official Straw Hat meeting. And then the next volume reflected that, but prior to that it was never called the Straw Hat Pirates. And so I like have a short video on that saying that technically the way the world knows that they're the Straw Hat Pirates is because Smoker is the one who reported them as the Straw Hat Pirates officially. He's the first one to officially call it into headquarters. Nezumi says the Straw Hat Kid and his gang of bandits, but he never calls them the Straw Hat Pirates. Whereas Smoker, he just gets on, he's like, I'm going after Straw Hat Pirates and whatever. And then he says it again, I think after the Alabasta thing or something. I forget when, but there's two parts where he says it. And then, so again, the Straw Hats never say that. But the theory part of it was that ever since volume 74, Oda has put Shanks underneath the Straw Hat Pirates, which is so random and weird. But Oda has used those volume things to reflect like very intricate details. For example, when we got into Whole Cake Island, he had Sanji's card fading off the Straw Hats, and he had him also under Germa. So he had him fading and under Germa to build like in the volumes, like, oh no, is he leaving the crew or whatever? And then the chapter where, you know, Jinbei joins, now Jinbei's on the side. And then when Jinbei and in Fishman Island, Oda decided to put Shanks next to Jinbei in the volume for some reason. I don't even know why, but he put them next to each other. And then so then the overarching theory was, I was kind of memeing a little bit, but then I kind of went deeper and I was like, oh no, what if the like this could be like a Davy backfight thing? That's the premise of that video. But I was memeing because everyone's like, oh, carrot for Nakama, oh Yamato, that it was that time. And so I was like, hey guys, I don't like any of these options. What about Shanks? Because Oda's been putting him there for the last like 15 years and nobody said anything. And, you know, the point of the Davy backfights is that, like, you know, or the actual premise was that Luffy would have to give away his Straw Hat at the end, right? Because that's kind of one of his main goals. But he wouldn't be the Straw Hat Pirates anymore. So then what would be the premise of Shanks and Luffy meeting? Would it be a Davy backfight? Well, if it's a Davy backfight, the whole premise of a Davy backfight is the winner or the loser has to abolish their flag, or essentially. So, you know, would it be Luffy? Because if Luffy gives up his Straw Hat, then that would be him giving up his flag, so to say. So it was a fun thing. But that's what I forgot. It was the chapter 253 thing, and then now I can't live down Grandpa.
So the basis of all of it is that Shanks joins the crew because he's been on the on that.
Yeah.
So
It's one of those things like Oda has just been telling us this whole time. You know, he's writing it right there.
It makes no damn sense.
But yeah,
Compels me though.
So I don't see that. I don't see that. But the reason he's there is because there would be no Straw Hat Pirates without him. One, because of the inspiration. Two, because he actually gave him the straw hat. So it's Oda reminding the readers, the audience, everybody, each volume, that this person is important to the crew and is the reason that they're there. So when he puts Jimbei next to him, it's kind of like, just kind of putting him on the same level. Like, this is somebody associated that's not, like technically like a part of them. Shout out to Lucy B, who said, I'm 44. I was reading Dragon Ball when Dragon Ball was still ongoing. Happy birthday, Chrissy, by the way. Shout out.
fossils. We got fossils in the chat.
Fossils? Hey, let's come on.
Nah, yeah.
We've got embryos on the stream then.
Yeah, hey, well, my viewers don't know. I'm anywhere from like 18 to like 50 to my viewers, and then because a lot of people either come in knowing that I'm a parent and I'm married for a very long time, or they're like, wait, he has a kid. So they just don't know how old I am. So yeah, 44, I'm gonna be that one day, hopefully, right? So shout outs to you making it that far.
Well, you got to get to 30 first.
True. Uncle Par is 47. That was shocking when I first found out that like some people genuinely thought I was like late 30s, early 40s, and not the bit like, hey, I had gray hair, like, or I still have gray hair, but
now, I guarantee everybody in the chat that Par is younger than you think. But yeah, let's not that was wild, bro. Yeah. So
I apologize. I formally apologize for that statement. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Thank you for that. Thank you. All right. So let's shift a little bit.
Yep.
Well, first, shout out to Lone Lupin. Said, just got to say, much love again, Randy. Never had a creator shout out an idea I had, much less use it in a video. Hey, man, this is what that's what this community is all about. It's like, if you bring a good idea to everything, like I'm building on it in the first place, or you're adding to something that I already have. Like, hey, it's all family, it's all Savage. We're all just we're trying to find the One Piece together. Here we go. Since you mentioned that, so one of the things I wanted to get into today is like what is even going on right now. I was gonna start a little general and get your feelings on just Egghead in general and where you want to go, but since that came in, let's actually just kind of like dive in head first. So we've got all of these summoning circles that are going on. And it seems to be that we're going to get all of the Gorosei
Savage
against Luffy, maybe, potentially, possibly.
Right.
But what this is really bringing forth and bringing forward is this idea that magic has kind of been here the whole time.
Yup.
And it's what else is magic? Because it's like you go back to 233, and that was the chapter that the Gorosei were introduced during Jaya, and you have the circles on the walls, and it's like we get into these ideas of everything. You look at actually even Romance Dawn, the pilot, the first iteration of One Piece. What is Shupil doing? He is a magician, like a literal magician. He doesn't have a devil fruit. He is just using magic. So it almost goes to say that, like, at the beginning and the main concept and the first idea that Oda had was to do a story about magic. Now, he put it into the form of the devil fruits. We now have haki. You know, we had Rokushiki and all of that. What if all of this is some sort of alchemy or magic? And then what is it based in? And then this even goes into, you know, Dragon Ball conversations and all of that when I start getting a little bit deeper into this, because I've, you know, been bringing up Dragon Ball a lot as I've been talking about this over the past couple of months. But this concept of being powered by belief.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that Goku could get energized for the Spirit Bomb with everybody just, you know, sending energy in and all of this. So is my thinking right now is that haki in general is legitimately a form of magic that you're kind of like tapping into, and the same way that devil fruits can awaken. What I think we're actually seeing is a form of like magical haki awakening. That this is haki at its highest absolute level.
Mm-hmm.
And as we start getting into some of these top tiers, like one of the theories, you know, the random things that I said in like either the last stream or the last video I did, is that in the middle of this fight, Luffy is scrapping with like 5 Gorosei, and then another summoning circle appears, and Shanks comes out of it.
That would be crazy.
And it's like, this is what the top tiers can do. This is the level that they are at. And there's a key moment in all of this where it's like, why aren't my punches hurting you, right? So that means that there's another level to all of this. There's something else that Luffy has to achieve to break whatever defensive barrier these guys have.
Mm-hmm.
You go back, and this is way more apparent in the anime than it is in the manga, but when Luffy was like brought back to life, right? I feel he was brought back to life via like Peter Pan rules, where it's just in Peter Pan, Tinkerbell dies or whatever, and then like when you go and you see a play version of it, the Peter Pan looks out into the audience and says, "Everybody clap, clap, bring it back. We need to believe, we need to believe, we need to believe." And there's so many Peter Pan references in the story. I'm going to do a whole video on it. But this idea that Luffy was brought back by like Nami shouting at Kaido, saying he's not dead. Then the heart starts beating again. He comes back to life. So I think that the Gorosei are in using some sort of dark magic where they are able to feed off of one another's haki or the fear of the world in some way. And it's like, it's creating this defensive barrier that Luffy actually can't go past. So what Luffy needs, and that maybe this is what the reasoning of the entire message that is about to go out in the first place, which goes back to what Lone Lupin was talking about, was what if the message isn't so much about the true history, but it's about the lore of Nika? So it's telling the world who Nika was, which is the thing that the government doesn't want.
Right.
This is why they were after Who's Who, because he just knew the name Nika. So they clap because he was preaching Nika. So there's specificity and there's like power in the name of Nika to begin with, which means that just by knowing who he is, that's the dangerous part. So with that, what makes that dangerous would be if by knowing who he is, Luffy can be fueled by the belief that the rest of the world would have in him, a la Spirit Bomb effects. But it's not, everybody putting their hands into this guy, but it's just, I feel like that's that final anime manga push for Luffy to actually break through this barrier is all of these people shouting at him and saying, like, we believe in Nika, we believe in Luffy, like, take him out, you know? And it's like, I feel like every anime or manga that I've ever seen has some sort of moment like that. And Oda does this a lot with Luffy in the first place. Like, you can even go back to Enies Lobby with Usopp yelling at Luffy for that final punch against Lucci. It was like he was down on the ropes until Usopp started yelling at him, and then it's like, okay, I got that anime manga push. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get there. And it's like, but on a huge level, the Revolutionary Army, everything could be galvanized, you know, could galvanize all of these people to go up against the government. But if they know who Nika is, they know what Nika is, that could be the final way to, like, power everything. But if there are all these, like, dark, weird red black evil circles, what if there are like a lighter, more colorful, vibrant circle that the Straw Hats could start like tapping into? And now it's magic versus magic, haki at the highest level, and you start seeing that all of these top tiers, maybe Mihawk or, you know, something else, like they use these summoning circles as well. And you know, that was long, but that's where I'm at. What you think about that, man?
No, I mean, it's long, but it's also, this is what I love about where we're at with One Piece right now, because I think like, to go back, like when I first started my channel, a lot of people had said that a lot of the ideas that I was saying was like a breath of fresh air, and these were the ideas that I had. If you remember, like the first reverie, and the reverie that you hosted as well, where I think it was at your reverie where at the end of it I was going off on the elemental haki stuff, or it might have been Jay's, I forget which one, but like I remember all the pushback, because
we've had that one for a while, so it might be that Jay one for sure. Yeah,
and like on that point, like my first videos on my channel, that's like my first theory, the elemental haki stuff, and everybody had, all the people who were like the biggest haters for it were just like, you're saying magic exists in One Piece, this sounds a lot like magic. And this was like 2.5 years ago at this point. And again, like all my videos always bring up, like almost every single video, I've always brought up elemental haki. But there's a specific video, it's the Mindro video, which this last chapter kind of very canonically laid down. It's not a theory anymore. Telepathy does exist. There's somehow some way to do it. In my video I was saying that there's going to be multiple ways to do it, but like Film Red showed it with Usopp and Yasopp, the exact characters. I was like, yeah, this Usopp is going to be able to have this ability. And then we got Wi-Fi haki from Shanks. People dubbed it that, but I call it mind rope because that's the essential rough translation of what mantra means. When Oda first brought in observation haki, it's called mantra, and if you roughly translate it, it would be mind rope or mind reins. And so like I thought mind rope was more marketable. Brain reins would have been the alternate. It was either brain reins or mind rope. That's brain reins is the more accurate translation. I went with mind rope. And we see it depicted with Wi-Fi haki, where it's like Shanks is like tuning in, and just again on the Toriyama thing, if you go back and watch that observation haki video, every time I talked about a thing, I was saying Oda loves Dragon Ball, and I'm pretty sure he's basing a lot of these things off of Ki Sense that Toriyama introduced, where it's like in order to for Goku to instant transmission, he has to like sense a presence, which is similar to how observation haki can sense a presence. But then I was predicting that we're gonna see it where people can pinpoint and talk to specific people. Thereafter, we got like Luffy talking to the people on Onigashima in small ways, like with Momo, and then also his voice was heard by the people on Law's ship. But it's like Luffy wasn't talking directly to them. It's not like they have the voice of all things, so telepathy has to come into play here. But then in right next to that, in junction with that, I brought up, there's a small video, I think it's like 4 or 5 minutes long, back in the day when, you know, we're just posting up TikToks, primarily the Marys on Onigashima. We still don't know how they work because they're human android hybrid. Some are human, some are metal, whatever, but they have that paper on them with the eyeball, and that always stood out to me because that's something that for example, Chopper's time skip island, the Torino Kingdom, they all had that same tattoo, but like on them, and I was like, huh, that's so weird. This is an island of people who retain like vast knowledge about like, you know, a certain subset of science. So I'm like, is this runes? Is this how the Marys are able to talk? Why do the androids need to have this eye thing? Why can't they just talk over like a transponder type of thing? We know transponder snails exist. We know Vegapunk is here. So it's like, why is this paper thing here? And then, you know, it's like Vivre cards. We don't know how Vivre cards work yet. We went past Wano and we still don't know where those come from. So we do have this magic in paper, magic in symbols, Miss Golden Week, all this stuff. And that's another video, Devil Seed users. That's what I called them originally. Characters who have devil fruit like powers, but they don't have devil fruits. And to the point when I made that video, people are like, wait, Paulie didn't have a devil fruit? I'm like, no, he just believed in his rope tying abilities enough that he could pull out ropes and that were strong enough to lift giants. And in the key word that I said there is believe. And the reason why that's important is because, yes, I 100% agree on that belief aspect. That's the bread and butter. And if I were to like kind of, you know, a lot of people are going to be like perturbed by the whole, oh, so everything's magic, hockey's magic, all this stuff.
It's
no,
will.
The core,
it's will. Will
it's
is
belief in will
and belief. It's just it's
and
tied to everything.
I think like if I were to say like what the power structure is, it's belief, and it doesn't matter which direction, it's devil fruits or whatever, because at the end of the day, when you go back to the cultures, like our world and our cultures, our religions, the power doesn't come from the stuff that's written in the book. The stuff doesn't come from what's written on the walls. It comes from the vast amount of people who believed in those words, believed in whatever song or hymn or lore or mythology that was there. The power didn't come from the mythology itself. It came from people believing in that, and people believed in different traditions, whether, you know, whether it's Santa, the Tooth Fairy, whatever. It's like, if you stop believing in it, you stop giving power to it. And so when it comes to like with One Piece, where it's at right now, whether it's a summoning circle, whether it's hockey, whether it's science, whether it's devil fruits, whatever it may be, I think that it comes down to whatever is the most powerful things that'll show up will be what moves people's belief in like the most primordial way. And the reason why I say that, like the primordial way, is because Oda's introducing the scope of like music, and then we have like art and things like that, where it's like these are things that people go to concerts, and like we talk about like Michael Jackson having Conqueror's haki, and it's because he's moving people through music. That's how core music is.
I've
something
said that a
we've
lot.
had.
I've said that.
Yeah, we've had music since the beginning of time. That's one of the first like human inventions, just rhythm, just beats, just patting on a drum, anything like that. And that got people to move together. That got people to believe together. And so when we see like the end tiers clashing, it's going to be over what Oda believes is the strongest catalyst towards getting people to believe. And so like if these magic circles are anything to go by, I think whatever power exists and Oda expands on that, it comes from like the people who developed it believing like these texts can do stuff, these texts, these symbols, whatever, are meaningful. And it might be a lost culture, but the thing is, we know that it's not technically a lost culture, because when Brook was summoned in the time skip, it was through a summoning circle. Now it was a meme.
Yep. I brought this up in my last video. I brought that up, and,
right.
But
and
not only that,
there.
I have something to build on that too. Is when Brook landed in that summoning circle, right? And they were doing this whole ritual. They were all in black cloaks. And it's very similar to the way that Shanks looks in chapter 907 when he shows up to the Gorosei. He's in a black cloak. So it's like, are these people, this cult that was on Namakura, like, are they, you know, they don't know it or whatever, but are they trying to pray to Imu? Are they trying to pray to the Gorosei? Is whatever that they are doing rooted in whatever the Gorosei is doing in the first place? And that even to have an audience with the Gorosei in the first place, Shanks had to put that cloak on as a form of reverence? Or like, is he a part of whatever religion, you know, cult that they're a part of? Everybody wants to say Shanks is a rat. I don't think he's a rep, but I think that he is ingrained into this stuff in a way that he may not want to be, but he is. And it's just like the imagery of that is just too crazy. I just, it's like, and then it goes into situations where, like, did Oda purposefully skip past everything at God Valley? Because if we actually saw everybody fighting there, it would be showing exactly what he doesn't want to show us yet, which is how everybody fights with this level of haki, this level of magic, these summoning circles. Rocks may have been a master magician or something, and it's just, could it have been a thing where all of the Gorosei also appeared and were a part of God Valley, and it was Roger and Rocks and fighting the Gorosei and all this stuff? I mean, I've talked about it before, but it's like, did Roger get his incurable disease by dealing with the Gorosei and the Gyuki curse and all of that kind of stuff? Lydia Raven is speaking everything that we're saying here, super chat, and said, I'm starting to think that all form of power, haki, devil fruits, rokushiki, all derive from the same magic power system that Oda has been drip feeding. And that's exactly what this is. We are reading Magic Piece. Like, Black Clover didn't really even comprehend how much it was being inspired by One Piece in the first place. I've never actually watched it, but I know, like, generally what it's about. Cone Killer Confuser, remember for 16 months, said El Salvador is my mom's country. R.I.P. Toriyama. We talked a lot about Toriyama earlier.
On the Black Clover has a lot of Dragon Ball references too as well. It's funny because I with Black Clover specifically, their verse is so One Piece coded that, like, I forget if the author specifically said his series is gonna be longer than One Piece, whatever, or something like that. But I made a joke theory saying, I pitched on one of my watch party streams saying that Black Clover so One Piece coded, it could literally be an island in One Piece. That's how One Piece coded is. But as far as the sorcery and the black the dark magic, right, that you were talking about with the Gorosei and stuff like that, I don't even know if dark magic is the specific word, but as I was saying, if you guys go back and see my elemental haki video and the devil fruits are training wheels for peak haki, you'll see how I couldn't even say the words magic in there because then people would be immediately dismissive as far as the thing. But you'll see people commented or whatever. It's wait, are you saying this? And I'm I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what words you put on it. All we can say is that it's probably all connected. And then there's two sides to it where it's later on, once we got a little bit more of Egghead, I think by chapter 1069, and I made a video saying that Luffy's side is the belief side and then Imu's side is the fear side. So it could be that the dark magic isn't running off of belief, it's running off of fear, which is what we see, right? When Saturn is summoned to Egghead, what happens? Everybody's running away from the center in fear because they're commanded, yo, Saturn's making landfall. If you look at him, you'll die, stuff like that. And that's fear-based, fear-coded powers. So it's it could be that the dark magic is built off of the opposite, and that'd be such a simple way for Oda to split up these powers. But ultimately, going back to the devil seed user stuff, this is something that I've been trying. I forget which video it'll end up coming into full fruition, but Oda in the first 200 chapters, and I know you love pre-time skip as much as I do, and probably more because I'm not gonna call you we're not gonna bring up old words, but there's so many powers there that exist that aren't devil fruit related, but they're not even explained to this day, but Oda explains them in SBS as hypnosis. So Django has hypnosis power. Look at what he did with Luffy, right? He basically, to his entire crew, gave him like what Hody Jones gave people with the energy steroid. He turned people who got beat up by Luffy into these monster steroided people, and then Luffy blindly ripped off the hull of a ship in like the first 30 chapters, which is like insane. And then we go to even Captain Kuro gets low-key hypnotized by the moon, and I made a video how like that could have been Oda pre-introducing like a mink kind of thing, because it's literally he looks at the moon, goes into a frenzy, and he accesses powers that are equal to CP9. Well, like he's not as capable of the Soru, the speed ability, the shave ability, but Oda says he's just as fast as Lucci and whatever in shave. I'm like, what the heck? He's doing that because he's hypnotized by the moon. And then you go to Miss Golden Week. Miss Golden Week literally makes circles and hypnotizes even Luffy into like betraying his crew. That's a circle and a color, and Luffy has no choice, but he just believes in something based off the color. And Oda explains it. It says that certain colors make you feel a certain type of way, and what Miss Golden Week is able to do is able to like convince you via those colors. And then you also have like the part that really hit me, and I remember I always bring up this thing because you're team Vivi. I always bring up this thing because when Oda showed this told me that these powers are not a joke. Like they feel like they're gags, they feel like they're jokes. It doesn't matter how many years Oda does it, he would not do it to Zoro like this, where Vivi in chapter 110 or 109, I think it's 110, Vivi gets up and after Zoro fights all the 100 Whiskey Peak bounty hunters, Vivi gets up and does the vertigo dance, which is a hypnotic dance that ends up dropping Zoro to his knees. He can't move, and he's even struggling. He's like, what is happening? And it's and I brought it up in a short or I brought it up somewhere, I forget, I think maybe it was a short, but I didn't bring up the manga part, which is that I mentioned in the comments that the way Oda depicted Zoro with Vivi there, it's low-key how Oda depicted Sanji with Saturn, where Sanji's like, how come I can't move? And he's being held down by some invisible thing. Zoro's literally on his knees, and had Karoo not dodged Zoro would have 100% taken this hit that like Vivi would have like used on Crocodile, and it was like smashing things all over the palace or whatever. So I was just like, if Oda is doing this to Zoro, who he's building up to be this serious, stoic, like no BS character, then 100% down the line at some point Oda is going to be bringing this. And we know for a fact that Oda has been locking this in ever since Wano, because Wano doesn't even call devil fruits, they call it sorcery, they call it jutsu, they call it that. And Wano should be everybody's time capsule for what the Void Century was more closely like, what they consider these things. And so I've always been bringing up, and this is, you know, throwback to our first collab, but this is where the Mihawk is a sword stuff comes into play, where in that video I was talking about how it seems like Wano had swordsmen or blacksmiths that were running opposite to devil fruits. So like the way it seemed like there was 3 different factions of some sort, where there was like just pure haki people, then there was devil fruits, people developed devil fruits and they instilled wills in these devil fruits, and then I was saying the blacksmiths were also doing that to the swords. And the funniest part is that I went back into my reactions, I posted a video, and then the next chapter was the Kozuburo chapter, where he was telling us about the will inside Enma, and I'm like, see, all these years, that was like months, all these months people call me crazy, but it's like these swords are literally also devil fruits, just in a different way. So yes, it's not just magic, it's not just hockey, we're seeing it in the swords. If you look at how Oda has been propping up the sword stuff, and how as we go on things are becoming even more sentient, like Enma could have killed Zoro. Again, a no BS character is being killed by a sword. That is crazy. Could you imagine like how much slander it would be if Sanji was being killed by his cooking knives? You know what I mean? Like, no, Zoro almost died by his sword, and he's supposed to be the world's strongest swordsman. That's why I'm like, he almost got killed by Vivi, fatally injured, whatever, and then the sword. And it's like, these things, why are they happening? Well, hypnosis in the first one, and then like magical sword. Are we not going to call it magic? Like, what is this? What are black blades? We don't know. And then all of this comes into play with Egghead, because this is where, like, separate to me, people want accepted magic, and I'm like, wait, if you accept magic here, why not here? And it's with the giants. People always think like Mjolnir's coming. Mjolnir's like a magical hammer. Most of the Norse stuff are magical weapons that were blessed by Odin or whatever sorcery was available, runes, whatever it is. They have that, and so now that we're on Egghead, not only do we have the Gorosei, but we also have this faction of giants that were running amok. Apparently, they were the terror for the previous century and longer. So much of the world government trying to recreate them, are afraid of them, all this stuff. And yet we've seen Big Mom solo all of them. Well, if the Gorosei are running in with magic, then and they're afraid of the giants, that kind of implies that, hey, if they're Norse and Norse has magic in their mythology and they're afraid of these guys, maybe they're coming in with magic too. Who knows? And so, 100% every different faction is going to have their own version of the same thing. The most important part is it's all the same. It's all different things, but the same part is that they all believe in those things, whether it's music, whether it's runes, whether it's magic, whether it's words, whether it's science, whatever it may be. We always see, like with Daria, every place that Kuma sent somebody to, it was always someone who, like, at the top level, they believed in what they were doing, right? And so, like, no doubt in my mind, whether, like, Sanji, for example, he's another one that I brought up in all this. I have a 90-minute video on Sanji, how cooking is one of those primordial things. We need food, right? And Sanji's out here hypnotizing Big Mom, and she's, like, not mad anymore. She went on an entire rampage and then instant gone. That sounds like magic to me. Anybody who can stop Big Mom from that, her kids were being eaten. Like, they were like, yo, she's going to eat me. And Sanji fed her a cake and it was done. Beige was like, there's no way. We have to poison her. We have to blow her up. She needs to eat explosives. Sanji's like, no, bro. Cake. And then Beige ate it and he's like, he's right. He's right. He literally said the words, it has like a hypnotic feel over me. And then somehow you have an entire ship of chefs and all these people oppressed by Big Mom. I'm like, yup, cake's gonna do it, guys. Sanji, I believe in this man. I believe his cake is going to save the, and then it did. It's a cake, it's food. And like, and when I bring that up 2 years ago, people are like, nah, that's not One Piece, that's too late. I'm like, what do you mean? That's so One Piece. We're having music, we're having food. After every single arc, everyone goes into a banquet with what? Food, music, dancing, right? And what is Nika? Dancing and music. Sanji's food. Then we have swords. Like, all the Straw Hats are going to be depicting that, right? And it's going to be interesting because that, to loop into like the more serious part of belief, which is the science, that's where I'm most interested in how Oda portrays the science, because now we're in this like middle gray area with Vegapunk, Saturn, science, man of science, whatever.
Well, that's kind of the dichotomy here also. It's like it's the two sides of all of that,
Chopper is the interesting part, because when we look at Dr. Hiruluk, the biggest medicine that he gave Chopper was believing in himself. It wasn't anything. He shot a cloud of pink. It was dope, don't get me wrong, but like, what at the end of the day was he trying to achieve? He was trying to send a message of like believing, set a flag so you could believe in yourself, do this because you believe in yourself. Your medicine works as you believed in yourself, right? And so like but obviously that's not how science or medicine and the medical field technically works, which is why I'm interested in it. But at the end of the day, that's the premise of how Oda set up Chopper and the medicine and all that stuff. It's like that belief part that Dr. Hiruluk, we call him a quack doctor, but hey, he had Dr. Kreha, one of the most like skeptical, cynical doctors. She turned coat. She believed in him. She shed a tear over him, right? So
he cured the kingdom in some way. He healed
exactly. So
healed them.
I'm 100%. The first monologue when you were saying that, I'm like, I feel so validated right now. I'm sitting here. I'm like, Randy's here. We're talking about all these things that I came in
Magic
and like
piece, bro.
Yeah, like I always felt like I couldn't talk about like again, you can go back to my old videos. You can hear when I'm like, I'm about to say magic, but I know that if I say it, the people are gonna click away from the video. People are like, oh, Part thinks magic is in the One Piece world, right?
Nah, if anybody gets upset with talking about magic at this point, then they're missing.
They're not reading.
Yeah, because it's literally like Oda put it in front of our face now. It was hidden. It was like kind of teased. You know, I mean, like plenty of us when that chapter came out with Brook landing at the summoning circle, we're trying to talk about like, hey, what's this? Like, what's going on here? But it's been so many years. It's been over a decade since that, you know, and it's just like, I think probably, 2008. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
About right, time skip, probably like 12 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, you know, even Barry in the chat brought up cursed swords. Like, I mean, like this is it's right there from chapter 98, you know, and so we have this idea of cursed swords. You have things like Durandal that is like taking over Cavendish and turning him into Hakuba. You know, it's like what are the parameters here? Barry even said, Par's passion is enough to convince anyone of literally anything. Keep going, sir. And
hey, if you believe in the cursed swords hard enough, you land yourself in this weird area where Mihawk is a sword. And I'm going to tell you, I've never backed down from
S-Hawk is literally a sword.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying in that video, that Oda's going to continue the way and drip feed us. And that's actually a core thing. And I think is probably one of the most underrated but masterclass things. Like people always Twitter is such a... Don't go on Twitter if you like One Piece a lot. Just go on Twitter and follow like the One Piece news stuff. But people are like, what's the worst gag in One Piece? And like they bring up all the things. I'm like, what's the best gag? Because Oda is masterclass at like making you think that something doesn't matter, has a gag and brings it. It's in your face. It's in your face many times. And then he shows it and it's like, no, this is real. And he brings it in a way where the gag feels cool and what he did feels cool. And then you also sit there like, man, he told me this a decade ago. What am I doing? You know? And like, I've been, you know, a lot of my videos have been a lot of dissecting those gags or things that like it are like seemingly important, but then we just like breeze by it. And then especially now in the last saga, we're seeing how many of those like minute details Oda builds upon within the arc, but then also outside of the arc. Like so many specific lines, whether it be from Garp or Shanks or whatever, there's like or Blackbeard, we can like now go back and be like, oh wait, like this was a thing. I mean, one of the other ones is like, I can't wait to figure out how the Blackbeard's sleeping. Maybe that's magic related. Maybe he has a curse on him, right? Like it opens up so many doors of how to explain certain things, and it's like people close off the
part
gags.
Of a tribe that was cursed or something years ago, and it's I mean, there's a lot of things. Old Green Knees Superton said, catching up on the vid now, Captain. Awesome collab. Big fan of both of you guys. And then a bunch of hashtags. Hashtag Lucci Get Back 2024. Don't think that's happening. Hashtag Sunny Gets Clipped 2024. That I do kind of think will happen in some fashion.
Sunny gets clipped?
Yeah, I think the best thing for the Sunny is that it gets really like not the hull or anything, not Mary level, but enough to where it's like, okay, Frankie's job during Elbaf is like using the Atom Tree to like repair the ship, and then with some of the Vegapunk technology maybe improve it, and then this probably leads into why Frankie has like the Sunny as a wanted poster. But yeah, I do want the Sunny to get damaged, and then maybe...
Wait, that's crazy because Sai and I like on thing. He made a video about it too. I was supposed to, but you know, dad schedule. You know, I have to prioritize some videos in this one. But like, we got so much pushback on the idea that the Sunny gets quote unquote destroyed in some aspect.
Not
like
destroyed, because it's still the ship that will. I think we just had an earthquake. That
was ominous. The Sunny gets destroyed. Earthquake in the back.
Yeah. So the Sunny is the ship that is going to take them to Laugh-Tale, because that's Frankie's dream. Specifically, that ship gets them to Laugh-Tale. So it's like it can't be destroyed to the point where it's like now we get a third ship. It's just okay. It's taken severe damage, and you know, it may even be just what's literally happening right now, where the Sunny is about to barrel into the barrier. Or it's going to get hit with 100 ships of, you know, cannons and all that until a giant, you know, like picks it up and starts taking the cannons for it. I don't know. But either way, I would like a little bit of drama, something, it gives a story purpose for, you know, repairs and drama and like conversations. It's a good conversation starter, so that's something that I do hope happens in some way, and it may even actually introduce us for the first time, Red excluded, of the Sunny's Cloboterman. You know, because it's like, if it gets so damaged and everything, that may be what manifests the Cloboterman, which in itself may be a form of magic. You know, like...
I'm a big supporter of the Cloboterman. And the thing is, like, Clobotermans are one of the real world sailor lores that's core to piracy and sailing at the, you know, start of our world of it. That's a real thing. And so, like, why would Oda get rid of a core sailor thing and not bring it back, right? This is Eni's Lobby, Water 7.
It's coming back. It's coming, especially with all of these Water 7 things. And I will get into one of the big Water 7 and his lobby things that I think is going to happen at the end of this arc too, after I just finish out these hashtags. There's some other ones. Hashtag VV for the Yuki Yuki. I think the Yuki Yuki's gone now. It's VV for Niku Niku. That's you know, that's where we're at. And then he also said R.I.P. Toriyama. We spent a lot of time talking about Toriyama today, and it's
yeah. So real quick on the Sunny thing, which is interesting, because like I'm trying to find the thing, because I'll leak it, because who knows when this video comes out, and I feel like every single time I'm on a call with you, you always like pull out.
It's like I'm leaking my video. All right.
Yeah. I don't care if I say it in full, but like. So I actually think destroyed might be more on the terms of unusable rather than they are still riding it, and that could be the huge tragedy. And so, like, to paint out the full picture, you know, and though my perspective on it has changed, I can't say I have updated my thought, because I haven't been able to put like much thought into this line with the Gorosei showing up and all these things. And now, you know, even Brago came on stream and it was just like, maybe it's 15 more chapters for Egghead to resolve. So it's like, there's so much that's happening right now. It's hard to think about what the outcome of it is. But like, for example, with Sabaody, right? I think it's not new to say that a lot of people think that there was, you know, parallels. There's still parallels. Kizaru's here, Kuma's here, all this stuff, and now we have Saturn. But so on Sabaody, Kuma sent the Straw Hats away and protected Sunny for 2 years, and that was Kuma's role. And now that we know about his relation to the Sun God, not his relation with, like, you know, various aspects, the thematic aspects, him protecting the Sunny is really interesting, because it's like a lot of people think that Lily had the paw fruit, and if Lily was
one of those big, I'm one of the first people in the community. I'm a preacher of that.
I figured you're VV, Lily, you're on that.
There's so many layers. There's so many layers. It works too well.
I think I have a different version of it. I haven't checked out, because I know Threevil, you, and I think Dax maybe had different ones that I wanted to hear about. Though I don't know if yours leads to the rebuilding Joy Boy with the poneglyphs with Dax. I don't remember where that one was at, but I gotta check out those ones. I recently told it on a watch party one with Lily. There's a interesting nuance, but with the Sunny, right? My thought was that, you know, earlier in Egghead was that it would be kind of like a different situation where the Sunny would end up having to like be jettisoned off of this thing, and Kuma would be kind of taking care of it in a weird way, like protecting it, and it was damaged and unusable. But the reason why a lot of like people gave pushback on this is it was the dream ship and all that stuff, and that's what's interesting. Frankie actually tells us specifically, I'm trying to find the chapter right now, he tells us something a little different about what his dream was for the ship, and it was, if I'm gonna find it, but right now I'll paraphrase it. It was something along the lines of, It's when the Thousand Sunny comes into picture. That's what it is. It's when Iceberg. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second because I'd rather just directly quote it. Which is also interesting because Vegapunk has his own ship of dreams, and then that was supposed to be Vega Force, I believe, and then Kizaru just blasted through it and destroyed their ship of dreams. And Frankie having the Vegapunk parallel of like the ship of dreams being blasted through, is that how it gets destroyed? Who knows? But specifically, where did he say it? I'm trying to find it. He says it. I believe he says it to Tom. Is it a flashback? Let me see. It's right around here. Okay, I'll just paraphrase it, and then when I find it, I'll tell you guys exactly what he says. So what he says is that he says like he has like his ship of dreams, and I think Tom and Iceberg are both listening, and so it was kind of a comparison, like saying like Tom is a legendary shipwright, and so but Frankie said he would sail on it, and so Tom was like, oh, if you're going to be part of the crew, that means you're even greater than me, right? And then I think Iceberg gives a little bit of a pushback, and then Frankie's like, well, obviously I don't think it's going to be perfectly fine. Actually, I think my ship of dreams is going to be destroyed pretty much in tatters before it reaches the final island, but when it gets there, it'll shine brighter than any other ship. And so what he says is that it sounds like, and that's why I'm trying to find the exact wording, it sounds like not that he wouldn't be on it, that's not exactly it, but it reminded me a lot more of how Mary showed up to Annie's lobby, where Mary autopiloted there. Mary just showed up. And that's kind of, I was like, okay, so is there a way the Straw Hats make it there on their own, and then the Thousand Sunny comes in like the Going Mary did, and that whole Kaboterman part would come into play there if we're hitting that part of the story, the Kaboterman, all that stuff would come into play. But obviously this would all feel a lot better when I get this line in there. But that's why I'm on that boat, is because when Frankie said his dream, it wasn't that the Thousand Sunny was going to be like perfect condition or whatever. No, it's 100% going to be destroyed. Not destroyed.
I'm not even saying that it needs to be in perfect condition to get there. It just, I'm just saying that it should be saleable. But I would love if it was unsaleable by the end of this arc, causing some sort of other situation that needs to happen, where either it gets Nikki'd away, it gets some random ropes and stuff like fly out and attach from the World Economic News blimp, and then it carries the Sunny away. Dory and Brogy pick it up and take it away. It doesn't matter. But one of the things, there are this arc is an amalgamation of a number of different stories, and in particular the most obvious ones are Savati and Annie's lobby. So things that and we're getting a little bit of Marineford as well, but I'm kind of I'm still on the train that Kuma dies, and I don't know if it actually happens on Egghead anymore, but I think that it'll happen on the way to Elbaf. And then in the same way that we had a Viking funeral for the Mary, I think we're going to have a Viking funeral for Kuma. And it's going to be a thing where everybody's there on the shores of Elbaf, and then everybody gets to say goodbye to Kuma, and then Frankie goes off and he starts rebuilding the Sunny, whether Lilith is with us or some other Vegapunk to kind of rebuild it with some technology, but maybe maybe because we're on Elbaf and it's Viking Central and there's not really metal or anything, maybe it's maybe they can't do that. But I feel like what we need after this, and I honestly don't think we have as many chapters as other people think, even with the Gorosei showing up. I still want to stand true that by around 11-16 we're already done with all of this, and that's that would be 1,000 chapters from Elbaf being mentioned, 1,000 chapters from Little Garden beginning, and also, because we're so tied to the archipelago here, I'm not expecting like 30 chapters of Luffy versus the Gorosei. Like, everything here from this point forward should be like a barrel roll of momentum that needs to kick us out of the arc. Right now, the Sunny's in danger, the crew is in danger, Vegapunk is dead. We have like 5 opponents that Luffy is definitely not going to be able to take all by himself. And but we will get the parallel of him doing it to like show that Sabo did it as well. Now the other brother is going to do it. And Luffy will fare better, but you know, whether or not this turns into a thing where, you know, Zoro gets mixed into this, he starts fighting with Ethan. You know, if some other people come in and all of that, like Sanji like gets one, he's probably gonna fight Mars. I think that's kind of my bet. Could be Jupiter, but I think it's Sanji and Mars, because I expect Mars to be some sort of bird-like creature, so it'll be Sanji flying around fighting him. And that Jinbei will probably get one. I don't know who the 5th person is going to be fought by, you know, unless it's a tag team by Dory and Brogy or something. That's kind of the interesting thing, but that's also where it's like, do Shanks and the red-haired pirates appear here out of a summoning circle? And then that's like the crazy thing that no one's expecting. And it's a tag team battle where they're all actually working together. And what we get after this arc is, and maybe everybody disappears through a summoning circle, and then it's like this sort of regrouping arc, which would tie into why people think that Elbaf is Shanks' arc, because if he takes us to Shanks, he's able to teleport. This, you know, tells us how he got to Marineford after scrapping with Kaido, how he was able to get to so many places so quickly, how he got into Marijoa undetected, because he's able to teleport. And what we get is this regrouping arc, where now, out of nowhere, a summoning circle appears, and it's Rayleigh also. You know, the Dark King using a summoning circle, and it's like, okay, I guess we got to start teaching you this stuff now. And I just want like a real cool down after this. Like, this is so massive. This is the highest stakes in the entire series. And then what we need is like getting that lore. Whatever we get from Vegapunk here, kind of processing that, talking about it with Saul on Elbaf, figuring out what all of this means. How is the world taking this information? Are they standing up for Nika now? Or do they want to take down the world government? Where do we stand from this? Where do we go? Where does Laugh-Tale fit in the picture? Do we go to Marijoa after this? What is like the idea that we're even gonna like
move past?
Yeah, or even just have an initial interaction with the Gorosei. Like, I almost feel it's too early. Yeah, you know, a quarter century into the story.
Yeah. I mean, to even more like Luffy was supposed to have rivals on this way to Laugh-Tale, right? And it's the Yonko, sure. But prior to that, it was Kid and Law, and they're taken out of the story. When we went to Onigashima,
and also had their ships destroyed.
Right, and so exactly that's another plot point for this thing. Actually, real quick, I found the thing, and just to move past that part, to give you guys a quote, chapter 437, Iceberg asks Frankie, "Ship of Dreams?" And Frankie goes, "That's right, a blueprint isn't all it takes to complete this ship. After it goes out to sea, it'll face all kinds of battles and hardships. When it gets to the end of the ocean, that's when it can finally be called the Ship of Dreams." So technically, it's not the Ship of Dreams yet until it makes there. And so he says, "One day when I make my best ship, I'm going to ride on it as a shipwright. I'll be there for that fateful day. When that day comes, it'll probably be falling apart, but I'm sure it'll glow brighter than any other ship in the world." And then that's when Tom says, "If you're going to be a part of the crew too, then you got me. You're better than me as a legendary shipwright," right? But that's the important thing, is that Frankie's dream envisions that his ship of dreams, like the nuance of it is interesting, because that's what's crazy about Frankie's story, is that he has a conception about what pirate ships are and all this stuff, and it's about learning what a ship means. And even like later when he makes the ship, Iceberg has to give him a talk. I'm not going to quote that one right now, but like there's 2 times where his like dream gets like touched by these individuals, but still he says the ship will be falling apart, but it'll glow brighter. And so I'm like, that's an interesting, because we also have Kizaru here, who's like the light guy, the Sunny here, and it's like Sunny was protected by Kuma, so like I could see this weird way where like, yeah, maybe it ends up coming through at the end, and I don't know how it's glowing, but I 100% think that like Frankie's dream when he was a kid, it's gonna come true, and that requires it to be falling apart. And when I read falling apart, yeah, I'm gonna go look at the kanji, but I think falling apart is similar to the merry-go when it was landed after Skypiea. It was falling apart. It was destroyed. In fact, it was destroyed prior to Skypiea too. It was like in tatters, but that was the nail in the coffin when it landed. And so whatever the Thousand Sunny goes through, and hey, the Thousand Sunny just fell off of Wano, and it did take damage. And so whether it be like what Randy says or what I say, that part, it's going to the last island, it's going to glow, it's going to be falling apart. We got to know the nuance behind it. But going back to what you just brought up about like, you know, moving past Egghead and what's happening right here, it is crazy because I'm on a boat where it's dispersal. Like Oda's gonna disperse it. I don't know if it's like Saba Odi where it's like Kuma shows up and just jettisons the Straw Hats away from dying. But the weird part is what I was saying about the rivals is that when into Onigashima, when into Wano, Law and Kid came in with so much less experience than Luffy, where it's like Kid didn't even know how haki worked, right? And now we're going into the run for Laugh Tale and we have Buggy, Blackbeard, and Shanks. Shanks is different because he's Shanks, but Buggy and Blackbeard, like, what is there? How like Egghead is one of those events where it's like you had to be there. You know what I mean? Like I can't explain. Like, you know, Katarina Devon goes there and she's like, yeah, see, like we got Saturn. He's like, what? You got Saturn? You touched him? And then she's like explaining. He's like, wait, he's a bozo? Like you just walked up? It was that easy? And like, you know what I mean? Like, and then what is she gonna say? Like, yeah, you honestly just had to be there. Luffy was doing the thing, and then Saturn turned into a spider, and then Kuma came flying in, and then there was an explosion. It's like, it's literally like, I don't know how you retell Egghead to anybody else, but the Straw Hats are getting like the end world experience that no other person that Luffy is being compared to can even get. I don't even know if Shanks knows, like at the end of the day, does Shanks know that that Saturn can turn into a giant Spider-Man?
I think he does.
And that's fair because like you said, like that's probably why we didn't get the end of God Valley. But hey, the other part is, even if he turned into this and all this magic was there, Kuma as a child ate the fruit and instantly got away from Saturn and got 500 people off. So it's like, I don't even know what that means as a benchmark for Saturn's abilities, right? And if everybody had magic and everybody was gunning for these fruits, well, Kuma just ate one, and you know, Big Mom took the other one. But like, where's the crown jewel? What's that about? Is young Figarland allowing this to happen? How come Figarland let one of the prize bunnies leave? Kid Kuma was able to, and yeah, he has the pawpaw fruit, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you put all these paralleled events, or not parallel, related events, and you put it into Egghead, and you just get this like confusion. We're like, I know where we're going to be, sort of on Elbaf and sort of out here, but like, how do we even get there? Are they taking the ship? Are they flying? Like, like Vegapunk also, people forget this, he's dead now, but he introduced himself with time-space warping technology. Where is that? You know what I mean? So it's like, there's so many things that you know, can be used here to change the game entirely, right? We just brought the Gorosei, but like you said, hey, we could get another summoning circle, and then Shanks shows up, and how did he learn it? Well, his old daddy told him when he was, I don't know, like it's in his bloodline. At this point, who knows? Vegapunk told us you retain some memories in your lineage factor. I don't know if that applies to magic circles, but and then it's also the nuance, can the Gorosei do the summoning circles on their own, or is it just Saturn? Other people think that it's all Emu. I don't know if you saw those, I think King of Lightning is one of the creators who's fully on that front, but there's a lot of people who think that Saturn's not even doing any of this. They think that it's straight up all Emu, and it's just like their bodies that Emu's puppeteering like a Doflamingo, but like way more cracked. And I honestly don't know where I'm at, but I
did see that. I don't know about that. I mean, that also ties into this idea that, like, you know, they're and I mean, there's a basis where it's like the reason that they're not getting hurt is because they're not really there.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
something that, you know, was discussed when the summoning circle first appeared, where it's like, is this an astral projection? Is Saturn still on the ship? Like, what's actually happening here? But either way, that's all still magic. So it's like it all runs right back to that.
And that's why if next island's Elbaf in any capacity, whether it's not all the community can agree that the Strats go there together, but if Elbaf is next in any capacity, and we have the Giants here, and the Giants are not just running toward Luffy and the center, they're confidently right. Like, this Vice Admiral Tosa didn't even get to do a move. He just got slammed into the ground. No haki, nothing. I've never seen someone exit the story quicker with like so much. Like, we're at Advanced Conquerors, Rio, like the mythical Zoans, all this stuff. Science, nope, just axe to the head, 6 feet down. And if the Giants are running towards the center that confidently, and they're going to, retrieve Luffy, I don't see them being incompetent towards the Gorosei. And with the amount of Giants that are there and the terror that they bring, I feel like the simplest way to get this dispersal thing is that the Giants show up, and it's like a Shanks effect of like, hey, we have like an entire crew of Giants, and we all know magic to some extent, right? Like, not like they're not mages, but they have magical gear. Magical, like Mjolnir, and like, Shanks has a flame sword, right? Like that kind of a thing. And we don't know how Shanks has a flame sword. A lot of people think that could be magic too. It could be elementaki, it could be magic, it could be both. Whatever it is, the Giants have been a mystery card since Little Garden. We're in the last saga. They're running towards another mystery card since what? Water 7, I guess, was 233. No, Gorosei is 233. So that's but what one is that? Jaya, yeah. So we have two mystery cards running in. One side, we don't know what is happening with them. I don't know why it wouldn't make sense if Giants come in with equally confusing things, given that they're recluse. They have 300 years of like individual experience, so that means it only takes one's grandfather to be in the Void Century. It's easily possible that they come up, they stand there like Luffy and all of them at Eni's lobby, and then the Gorosei like, all right, I don't know what we're doing about this. But at the end of the day, the weird thing is that the Gorosei don't really care about Luffy. They're here for Punk Records, Mother Flame, and now to stop this message, which they're assuming it's from Lavoface. I feel like that's the funniest part, is like, it'll be hilarious if they're like, well, obviously it's coming from Lavoface, and then they find out it's not coming from Lavoface.
The princess is in a different castle.
Yeah, exactly. But that's their prerogative. They don't necessarily. Luffy is a deterrent from their thing, but at the end of the day, they don't want to fight at the moment. They need to stop. But that goes back
to what I was talking about at the beginning of all of this, where it's like, if the message is primarily about Nika and
Luffy,
first, then it's like they're trying to stop this because it's about Luffy. So it's like. So
what do you think about the idea? Because like, it's a pre-recorded message, right?
Yeah.
This is. I might make a separate video on the fact that it's pre-recorded, and that kind of changes to me, because like, when do you think is?
Well, it's not specific. It's not about specifically talking about Luffy. It's about talking about Nika, but it correlates to Luffy because now he is the new interpretation of what this means and what this is. So
right,
if the pre-recorded message eventually turns into a live stream where now it's putting the Gorosei on blast, it's putting Luffy on the screen, they're able to see him glow and all that, and now they have this sort of like image of what their savior could be, and it's like I was talking, I remember I got a comment, because I was talking about this like in a sort of like biblical messianic sense, because it's like that's the way that Oda is kind of presenting it. And then someone was just like, why are you bringing this into the story? I'm like, buddy, bro, like a man's been carrying a Bible since chapter 233, bro. Like when was it never about this? Like it's like basically in the same chapter You know, like really just think about this. In the same chapter that we get introduced to the Bible, we get introduced to the Gorosei.
Yeah.
Like it's the
And then when
same
we-
chapter.
And then when we learn about said Bible character, we find out he lives in a church. Like
Right, yeah. So it's
he
like
prays
the
every
same
day.
chapter that has these summoning circles has a Bible. Like this stuff is connected.
Yeah.
I want to hit some supers real quick.
Yeah.
Baby Pluto N said, for that ship of dreams to become his treasure, there has to be a way for it to continue to exist through the test of time. And they think that Kuma's fruit is going to the Sunny. Sunny is a lion, Cat is Kuma's powers. I've heard this before, but I do believe that if the Sunny were to eat the Niku Niku, it would sink. So
I have a whole video about that and why it wouldn't. 2 years ago I was saying like maybe the Sunny gets the pawpaw fruit, but people brought it up and they're like, would it sink? And I was like, according to Oda, no, because boats are buoyant. They don't. The anchor word was like in the first chapter, but thereafter it's depicted where it's like as long as you're not fully submerged, like you're fine. But if an object were to eat it, then it should be fine because it doesn't lose, like the boat doesn't stop being a boat after it eats the fruit, right? It's still a boat, just like Funk Freed is still a sword, the lasso is still a cannon, but more accurately,
I don't know, it's too game breaking for me. It's too game, I can't see it. And plus I'm too invested in VV stocks for the Nika.
That's fine. But when I made that video, people were like, nah, that's not how it works. And I was like, so is Luffy is not a Luffy anymore? Like the person stays the person. So like it technically would work. And we have seen a Big Mom ship as a homie, and that's technically on touching the water. So it's like even that one would be more weird. I'm mad that exists. Like that one should, if touching the water, I feel like the homie should just disperse.
But I could see that just being that centerpiece is the homie. Like
that's true. That's
like
true.
it's
that's
just
true.
like it's not the whole ship as a homie because it's not like a giant mouth at the the bow of the ship or anything. So, but this idea that like fast travel, like everybody's getting fast travel now. Like this is like Oda like trying to like do this end game thing. Blackbeard's got access to the warp fruit, so it's like, to mirror that, especially considering that like Luffy's crew and Luffy himself is like the perfect mirror to Blackbeard in every way, and that's the way he was even presented to us in his introduction chapter, which the pie is good, the pie is bad, the juice is good, the juice is bad. It's this yin and yang idea where if Blackbeard can warp, Luffy's got to be able to warp, which means that they they are going to get the Niku Niku on their side. It's just how is it going to happen? Whether it's going to be the Sunny somehow game breaking, whatever, or Vivi comes back and just like her ancestor, who I believe shot the poneglyphs all over the world, and that was her big mistake that Imu was talking about, because in the same sentence he's also talking about scattering the poneglyphs in the first place. How do you do that? Easiest way: pawpaw fruit. You go back to all of the different examples. It's like I mean there's so many just like crazy connections where it's like her partner was Mr. 9, her birthday is 2229, Niku Niku. In the chapter where Kuma revealed the fruit, boom, she's on the cover page. The sea cat in general, right? Why would that be a revered species in Alabasta unless they knew that their like former queen had paws? So that this also has paws. It's revered, it's sacred because it's it's elemental and of the queen. It's
right.
So
the sea cat thing is one of the main. If I were to have made a video on this, it would be like the Thousand Sunny is a good one because the cat and the sea cat and being on the thing and being the defender of it. It's like that like almost poetic kind of like connotation where Vivi brings us to Alabasta. It's like the sea cat is a guardian of the thing, and then Luffy ends up getting a sea cat ship technically, and then it having the pawpaw fruit, which is really interesting because like you said, I don't know if you said specifically, sorry, it was that when Ginny brought up the pawpaw fruit on God Valley, the image was a sea cat when she brought the pawpaw fruit. And so it's
the same way that Robin thought of the fruit. like in a little
Right.
word bubble when they first met Kuma as well. It's basically the exact same imagery,
1-to-1.
But the thing is like I would rather that somebody on the crew eats it, because one of the key things that I think is going to happen at some point too is that Luffy is going to have to marshal his troops. Like he's going to have to like have this big captain moment with the Grand Fleet and all this stuff. And I think that they're going to have to divvy up things. I think there's going to be a situation, I've thought about it for a long time, where we're going to have an Impel Down 2.0 and everything like that. And it's like, at some point, Luffy's going to be talking to a lot of people, and a lot of things are going to happen at the same time. And the same way that Blackbeard is warping around, trying to, stop all these things, it may be a thing where it's like, okay, this team has to go to Wano to try and save them and prevent Blackbeard from getting Pluton. This team has to go to Fishman Island to protect Shirahoshi. This team has to go to Marijoa to like stop this thing, and the rest of us are going to Laugh Tale. And then it's like whoever has the ability that ate the Niku in this situation, and in my mind Vivi, is the one pawing them away to the various places. And it's just that I just see that like it's going to be so useful. And it's actually going to be an even better use than what Van Augur can do, because the user doesn't have to physically go there. Whereas, like, when Blackbeard wants to go get Pluton, Augur has to go.
Mm-hmm.
When they want to get Shirahoshi, Augur has to go. He can only warp one place at a time. But the Niku will be able to send multiple people to protect and save everybody. So that's going to be, like, an interesting thing about that. Seb,
I see someone saying that like it'd be hard to pace with a split crew, but like and I've seen that pushback, but again, if I were to, I would definitely
may not be a
this
split crew though. It may just be like the Grand Fleet goes here, the Revolutionary Army goes here,
right.
So it's like it's split things, but it's not like, okay, Sanji, Nami, and Usopp are going here, and like
Right.
It's not like it could be
I would just add that, like, because if you ever bring up even the notion of it, people are like, I wouldn't like that from a story thing, right? But the thing is, people have to look at Egghead and be like, look how well Oda has split up the story and how well it's fit and how, like, it just flows. We jumped onto so many islands within this arc, flashbacks of side characters, and it's flowing. And the reality is, this is the last saga, and if Oda had his way with the story, primarily, he would do the shonen thing of splitting them up. And at the time, you gotta realize, like, post Alabasta, like the time skip split up that he did then was probably like a smaller, like not as planned version of what he would if he were to do one now in the last saga. This is something that Oda has always had in the cards then. This split up here, and so I would just bank on, like, if Egghead is anything to go off of, give me more of the world, because that was, I think, everybody's favorite parts of Egghead so far. Yeah, Egghead itself is a great arc, but how many people did a chapter, best chapters of the arc or of the year, and it was 1079. It was Shanks. It was Garp Hachinosu. It was Reverie stuff. It was
1085 for me.
Revs, but exactly, like all these. Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
I think you and I, we people. We haven't touched on that dragon conversation, but you and I, every Reverie, have been like duo on anything related to like sword and revs. We'd have each other back. People slam it, and we were like, no.
This stuff is important, guys. This stuff's important. Like, my two favorite chapters of last year were, it was revs and sword. It was just that, the 1 and 2.
Yeah, and then. Shout outs to I think it was in your Reverie, Chrissy even came in. She was like, hold on, none of this slander right now. Like, all this stuff aside, this is the facts. She laid down the law.
Oh yeah, no. Chris more than anybody, like, I feel like Chrissy's waiting for that dragon movement.
Yeah, it's funny because I posted a long dragon video, but I have 4 more I'm just getting all my dragon videos out right now. And I just oh man, because it just feels like such an Oda thing to do with this. It's like like make you so confused about a character, and then he hits you with it, and it's like, oh my god, that makes sense. And Hidden just watched my last Dragon video on stream, and he ended the video not mad, but he was like, I think he kind of said like, I'm kind of mad that I didn't think of this. This is so simple. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of right there. It's just that Oda put a lot of time in between these elements that Dragon has, and it's like, if these certain things were true. Now, just to clarify for chat, that last video doesn't explain post Baltigo Dragon, but that's because the rest of the videos will explain. So like the stuff about Egghead Dragon, that's coming later. This other video is explaining when Dragon was all Baltigo and prior, why Dragon was the kind of character that he was. And so like, to give you some insight, it was kind of like, so you don't have to watch the long video. It was kind of the idea that when we look at the revs, all of their powers kind of blend into support abilities, even Sabo's to a certain extent. Sabo has the most offensively leaning power, but when you look at the Reverie, they didn't have him in an offensive role. He was always he basically never used his powers, at least planning wise, to attack somebody. The Gorosei, that thing wasn't a planned thing, and yeah, he can fight. Yeah, when he fought Fujitora, clearly he can fight. Everybody can fight, but Karasu uses as transportation and communication. Bello Betty is literally the encouragement stuff. Kuma primarily uses his fruit to take away pain and transport people as well. All of that, like you look at all the revs, and that's what like the first half of the video is about. It's analyzing how the revs work. And that works with their motif. They're there to support the Flames of Revolution, not be the Flames of Revolution. And I was like, so why wouldn't it make sense that Dragon's the same way? So that might tell you more about how Dragon operates. He could be this insanely Akainu level strong character, but now put it in the shell of the vessel of someone who does not want to hurt anybody or wants to come out of the thing as a pacifist, like we know him to be. But the ultimate thing that I sat down with, the title of the video, this is something expected for future videos. It's like the thumbnail is Dragon Mist, because like people hate Dragon. Thing is like he's a mystical character, and the reason why is because I think that we think that he has like wind or weather related powers, but I think the way he can use his powers is to create mirages, illusions, similar to how when Nami, one of Nami's most cracked abilities, when she's able to harness the pressure and climate of wherever she's at, she used it the first 2 times was to create the Fata Morgana, which is another core sailor term for illusions. That's what the Flying Dutchman, that the lore of it flying is from the illusion of the hot air, cold air, creating the bending of the light, thinking that the ship's up there. And that's what we largely think of Dragon. He's the Wind Grandma. So my point is that when you look at Logtown and Great Terminal, we see the wind lines coming through, and it's a storm, the wind's coming there. You see those same wind lines in Baltigo, but it's a clear sky. So my interpretation is that Dragon has to be at Baltigo because he's creating a storm around Baltigo, which makes it an illusion, which makes it like a mirage island, which is why nobody was able to find it for over 20 years, him being the world's most wanted criminal. But it hasn't been found for 20 years, and it's like, wait, that would make sense as to why Dragon has to be like landlocked, is he has to protect all the refugees and his army by staying there and creating the mirage and the illusion, which again, Nami was technically the first character to sense Dragon. If that was Dragon Storm, she was like, there's a barometric pressure drop, there's this, that's attributed to Dragon. And then when she uses the mirage power, she says it's based off of the atmospheric pressure in Alabasta. It has a high pressure, so she dropped like the cold air or whatever, and then again in Eni's lobby, all barometric pressure. So it's so I was saying, like, yeah, like there's so many intricate details about these things that Oda inserted where it's like, wait, yeah, that kind of makes sense. If we thought that Dragon was weather related at all, let's look at the weather related Nami. How did she use her power? Mirages. Boom. If Dragon has mirages and he's a support character, type of support power leaning character, that explains a lot of his actions prior. And so that's what that video is about. But there's more. I'm definitely going to be continuing to defend Dragon. But I did want to know, we've talked a lot about Egghead, but as far as Egghead and Dragon, how did in the purview of the end, do you think he's coming? I know that some people thought he was coming. I might have been one of those people. Where do you feel you're at now to chapter 1109?
I wanted him to come. It didn't geographically make any sense with how many times that we saw him at Kamabaka, on the other side of the Grand Line. And it was funny because it was literally saying, like, unless Dragon has some other, like, form of teleportation that we don't know, like, he's not coming. And then we, like, get introduced to a form of teleportation that we didn't know. But whether or not Dragon can actually tap into the power that the Gorosei have is really the only way that he would show up.
He does have the lines on his face. You gotta wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
I don't know. It's like, what if it's a summoning circle appears in the ground and it's Dragon that comes out, not Shanks? Like, I would actually be way more hyped for that than to see Shanks, because this arc has been way more about the Revolutionary Army than anybody else. And I feel like with Kuma, and a potential Kuma sacrifice and everything, it really should be Dragon, Sabo, and Ivankov that are there for that, and not seeing Dragon pull up to Egghead and drop some flowers once this is all over. Like, I have no interest in that. I do like the idea of it being, it's a great story reason for why he never moves, because he lets everybody else do everything and he's protecting the people. Like, that's great. And I don't remember when, but it was definitely in a stream someone mentioned your idea, because as you were saying it, I remembered someone saying it, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I do like that a lot. And at this point, I think that what Oda is trying to achieve in this arc is not giving a feat to Dragon, not getting Dragon involved in this, not getting the Revolutionary Army involved in this, but just having everything that this arc means, everything that is going to happen in the message that is about to get out, which will probably get interrupted at some point. And I kind of hope it does, because there are some elements of the story that I feel like if Vegapunk gives away, not only that, but if Vegapunk gives away too much, it neuters Robin. So it's like Robin's whole role in the story for me is to uncover the true history, to tell us.
I think we're safe. I think we're safe on that front, because when Shaka explained the Ohara thing, if he had known more also about like Nika per se, right? Because we don't know how much he knew from his own research or Kuma, right? Given his connection to Kuma now, like the name, he came in with the White Warrior, the name Nika could have been from Kuma. But I think where we're safe at, as far as what you're saying, Robin being the world's way of learning and connecting to the people's history of the Void Century, is that Shaka specifically said it's a theory still at this point about what he thought about Ohara and the 800 years ago. He doesn't know how the robot works.
Like, there's a lot of opportunities for unreliable narrators in the story.
True.
But when
I'm glad you know that. Yeah.
But when it comes to like
Vegapunk,
like, I feel like everything that he said as a theory is actually just like, we need to take complete fact. Like him saying, he says that everything is built on desire, will, all of it comes from that. So it's belief. It's
what I meant by the theory part, not that he's wrong, but more so that if he's saying it as theory rather than fact, then that means that he doesn't know the Void Century truly. If he knew how the robot worked, for example, he would know the Void Century, but he doesn't know the Void Century, which is why he can't even come close to the robot. So I think those two details tell me that he doesn't actually have real history of the thing. It's all things extrapolated from Ohara, which he could go further than Clover, sure, because he's smarter. But the nuance that he said, well, this is still he said specifically to Robin, well, if the world government killed Clover, doesn't that mean that his theory is a fact? Well, he wouldn't even need to use that logic if he actually knew. He would have known himself. But then also,
I don't think that was. I think that was more.
Like leading Robin onto the right path, like a Rayleigh type of thing, like
not
giving her the answer.
No, it's like don't think of it as like a fact. It's more like he's like, if Clover, like If he was killed for it, doesn't that mean that he was right? Not
Right.
Doesn't that mean that he was right? You know, it's not. It wasn't a question. It was just that he was more presenting it that way. The main thing here is that a lot of people on the internet want Vegapunk to drop the name of the kingdom, a la Clover.
Yeah.
And I will stand on business and say that it needs to be Robin that says that. Like, I do not want Vegapunk to say it. It's so ingrained in her story. Clover was important to her. I don't need another old man to say it. I need her to like steal the mic from him and show why she is this like dangerous figure to the world government, because she has information that Vegapunk shouldn't know, because she has read poneglyphs in places that he hasn't been. So it's like, I need this to get interrupted, but then there's a way for them to create a live stream, and then Robin like continues where he left off. And it's like, and that would be like just an amazing Robin moment and justify why she's been wanted since she was 8 years old, you know? Yeah. And it's, prior to this and everything like that, you know, it's like I wanted it to be like a tag team thing at the end of the story between her and Vivi working together, like utilizing Vivi's, you know, the trust that the world has for her, delivering this information as an orator, but, you know, as Robin's like translating everything, and then by way it would get to that. But here, Robin is completely removed from the situation. The people that she loved and everything are involved here, but she is removed from this message, and it's like it needs to involve her in some way. Otherwise, why is she in the story? Why is she so important? At that point, I'm like, Oda, did you have this idea for all of this stuff? But then at the last minute in Alabasta was just like, you know what, I'm going to keep this person around. This would be a fun twist. And then already had it in your mind how everything was going to go now, and didn't incorporate or think about Robin. So it's like, because otherwise, what is she going to do? What is her end game here? She will be so neutered if Vegapunk takes this thunder from her.
I think, like, yeah, I see where you're coming from with the name thing. I think I would be less, like, I agree with, like, Vegapunk not giving the world, like, Void Sentry stuff, because that's Robin thing. If it's just the name, I'm less mad, but I see where you're coming from. But, and then I was laughing, Mateen. I just want to ask you a few questions, because this is, like, a gag thing, and I'm like, I said another gag, I think in the same stream, and then that one ended up being true, which was like, people were getting hyped up over like, oh, Vegapunk's gonna say the truth, right? And I put up a poll, and I was like, hey guys, what if Oda stalls and he doesn't give us? And then people are like, absolutely not, Par, stop bringing that. I was like, but isn't that the Oda way? He always does this. He's like, even if we do get it, he's probably gonna cut it. And people are like, stop that. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry. Like,
if there is anything in the story that Oda should be doing this trope with, even though he's beating everybody over the heads, like, it's this, like, because this is what a quarter century of media has been building up to in the first place, is getting answers. So not only that, inviting the rest of the world to understand that there are things that you're missing, that there's a bigger picture here in the first place. That's what the world needs to know going into the final saga to make anything have stakes.
Yeah. So my other part was, do you think that Clover was the only person who knew? Do you think the other scholars knew the name of the ancient kingdom?
Yes.
Okay. So and then, okay, see, I had this line of logic, and then I was like, no, because isn't it true that the way, so like none of the scholars knew that Robin
man
even
just
flip
the drip.
Savage.
Yeah. I had to, you know, it was that time to, you know, get a little spice. No, this is a gag, so this isn't the spice thing, but I just need to cool down a little bit. But isn't it true that Robin learned how to read and the Void Century stuff that they were researching all in secret? They had no idea. She was straight spying. She learned an entire language without them knowing. She was just spying in on them, right? That's how it happened. I'm not misremembering that.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think that the rest of the people already knew the name of the ancient kingdom, not just Clover. Is it plausible that Robin knows the name of the ancient kingdom?
I think she's known the whole time. I think she's known the whole time, dude.
Yeah, and then because she was with like in the newspaper 1060, she's like,
but it's just, but it's never meant anything to her. Like in the same way where it's like it's not information that means anything to anybody else, to where she needs to. She knows so much stuff that she has not said yet because nobody really on the crew cares. So
and that's why I'm not upset if Vegapunk says the ancient kingdom, was like, wait, like isn't it like it could be that Robin already knew it and it's like not that like
no, but it's the thing that Clover
like,
died for. Yeah, well,
true,
I mean,
true, yeah.
I mean, he got up and was still able to throw some books out. So I keep thinking that that's like anyway, it's what he was shot over. So it seems like it's a big deal. But yeah, no,
my guy
if they were
Kinemon, bro, shot in the face and just went like, these books need a home in my lake. Like this whole I gotta fill it with more knowledge. That's what he said. Oh my god.
I was gonna go grab a jacket just to match your jacket switch up, but I was like, that's too much. I'm not gonna do that.
It's too hot in Cali. Oh wait, is it cold right now in Cali? Or is it
it's like 50s, I guess, 50s, 60s, yeah. So
I mean, it doesn't. You're from New York, so it's like that's not that cold. But for them, this is their winter, and they're freezing. I've seen some.
Oh yeah. Like, they're manned up.
It's crazy. I'm like, why are you wearing a trench coat in Cali? They're like, bro, it's 55. I'm like, all right, cool.
Right,
sure.
Yeah, they start breaking out the Celsius numbers to make it sound better.
Yeah.
The Seb Gagny Music, member for 15 months, said, who's going to turn out to be the pirate with the eye patch? I mean, at this point, I guess it's either Rocks or somebody on the crew is going to lose their eye, and then like that's what it's going to be. Or we never get it, because the whole point of why Oda never did the eye patch gag in the first place is because he was trying to break pirate stereotypes and then dedicated an entire saga to a Captain Hook like pirate.
Yeah. He did say one would show up at the end of the story, but he didn't specify if it was our timeline, so it could be Buccaneer #1, you know, like it could be the first Buccaneer, which is pirating, right? So
someone in the Void Century would actually be probably the best thing. The first pirate, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Novum, member for 33 months, said people 100 years ago would see this stream as magic, which is true.
Yeah, very true. We'd be burned at the stake, actually.
Absolutely. Yes. Old Green Knees, the Punk Records blasts off into space, becoming the first internet satellite, fulfilling Vegapunk's will, preserving Punk Records. Some crew blasts off with it. That's interesting. I mean, like with Vegapunk saying that he wanted to do the internet and all that, I thought that was something that was going to get inherited by Frankie and that he would eventually do. I wasn't expecting it to be something that actually became a part of this arc. I thought it was something that we would work towards. So that's
because that in and of itself is like, one, we don't know the context, like not the context, like the mechanisms of it, because like he's dead, but like it's still there, and like the Gorosei want it. So how does the devil fruit pass on? Did when Vegapunk cloned himself or turned into had satellites, do all the satellites need to die for the devil fruit to switch? And then if the devil fruit switches, does that mean the brain, because it's Vegapunk's brain? It's so weird at the end of the day.
Well, I
don't know where Oda's going with it, but
well, I mean, my crazy theory for that is that Vegapunk, just as he has all the satellites do at the end of the day or whatever, upload their consciousness. I think that Vegapunk uploaded his consciousness.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think would be really cool is if when we upgraded the Sunny, we had like a Vegapunk room, like a computer room where like everybody could go and kind of communicate and discuss new things that they've learned from poneglyphs and all that, and consult Vegapunk. And then to get even crazier, it's like, okay, well, it's an egg, right? Roger had an egg on his ship. Like, what if it was like a computerized egg that was just on the Sunny where they could talk to Vegapunk? We saw holograms. What if when you're in the parameters of the Sunny, like there's just like this Force Ghost hologram Vegapunk that you can talk to, and then Oda's doing all these gags where like Vegapunk is like popping up in the shower or something, like Oda's gonna do something like that, and like it's just Nami and like yelling at Force like weird hologram Vegapunk to get out, but it's a hologram and it's just like, oh sorry, it's like I can't control where this thing sends me, or it's like I don't know, but it's like I feel like there's just so many opportunities for something like that, whether we get it or not. It's still like an interesting thing that's already been like embedded into this arc, the idea that he could still live on even though he's been killed, and it would be totally within Oda's parameter to try and not kill this man after killing him because he's already mined the emotion of it.
It's so funny because like a lot of the theories that you said, I'm so glad, because I feel like, not that you and I are opposite sides of theories, a lot of times we agree, but when we do, it's usually from completely different reasons. And the Vegapunk living on, Sai and I have some super chats were referencing it. We have a long standing theory from a specific panel that Oda Vegapunk's gonna live on, but it's gonna be like we floated around like a different version because this is early Egghead. We're like, technically Vegapunk's lobotomized, because like if he disconnects from the thing, then he wouldn't be smart anymore. So like, what happens if we move him from the thing? But like maybe he still has like the instincts of a smart person. But like there's a specific thing that if I bring it up, I know you're gonna be like, you're gonna do the head tilt thing that we always do. I feel like I did the shot. Oh, the Mihawk is sword, Zoro's the plant. You were like, you tilted over.
Yeah, then and then for whatever reason my chain unclasped.
Oh yeah. So yeah. This theory is one of those, especially because I have a more full one that I haven't said the rest of it on the thing. But most of the people know. I'll tell you the starting point, and you could cope with the the whatever this means. But Sai was always interested because Oda, for some reason at the beginning of Egghead, and the anime directors actually gave a literally 3 minutes of time to this thing. It was a recycle cur. Oda gave it a narrator box, like a recycle cur, blah blah blah, and then the animators had that dog bite Luffy and chase around the crew like it was like friendly. And so we were thinking that by the end of it, Vegapunk somehow puts his brain into that dog. That's how he escapes. And there's a whole other side to it.
That would be crazy, and I could see that.
And then it's just like this, they actually have a pet now. It's not Chopper, it's a pet. And it's like Vegapunk, but he's just like barking. And then when they meet up with Mads, they're like, this is Vegapunk. And this is like this dog. And they're laughing at it because they want that like, haha, we got it. But then he's still smarter than them as a dog. And it's just like, there's like so many layers to this really goofy theory. But there's actually a reference.
It doesn't
like
make me head
material.
tilt, it just makes me like it.
Yeah, but if I told you the reference for it, it might, because
go ahead.
I'll leave the illusion to the chat, and I'll tell you off stream. There's two things that Oda took 1-to-1 from, and they're like probably the most questionable things. One is the egg, and then the other one surrounds Vegapunk. I'm not gonna say specifically, but there's the egg and something else. There's a source material that actually connects the egg, Vegapunk, and the recycle cur. And when I realized, I was like, wait a second. They're all from this reference. It's kind of crazy that it's all on one island. And it's like, not even like, it's like Oda, like one of the things, and one of the holograms, one of the major holograms. I'll give that too. And so that's because of that reference. I like the idea that Vegapunk goes into the dog a lot more. It's really, really interesting. Yeah, you know, Babe Poots. I gotta tease the theories. We same old part. We never change, right?
See, I want to try
Super
to speed run through some of these super chats. We'll still go a little bit longer here or whatever, but since it's Chrissy's birthday, I'm gonna start winding things down.
Is Chrissy gonna make a Yonko appearance? Are we gonna hear the Conqueror's haki coming through the screen?
Well, she was in the chat. I don't know if she's gonna pop it in, but she was in the chat. Vasil Vladivanovici super chatted and said, community theory, there are 0 survivors in the hunting games of the world nobles, but could Crocodile Mr. Zero be a secret survivor? Now that's actually one of was one of my theories when we were talking about people that could have been at God Valley. It's like when 1095 came out, I could have answered this like easy, but I can't remember like specifically how old Crocodile was, but he was alive, and he's anywhere between 7 to like 14 years old at that particular time. I can't remember. And he is, I think, just slightly older than Mihawk. No, that was it. He was 8. Just like most people in their flashbacks. So I was just like, right. I was like, oh, this might be like Crocodile's like moment. This is, like, what if he was here? In the Fever card said he was born in the Grand Line, but it's like the West Blue is known for like having all of the mafia, right? It's where Capone's from. So it's like, in my mind, it's where Dufeld is from. And it's like, it would be really cool, like, if we like got to, like Crocodile's flashback, and it's like him moving about throughout the West Blue, and like basically training under all of these like mob bosses like Dufeld or something, and maybe he gets involved in Mads, and like that's how he kind of like learns some things, and then eventually like runs into Robin because he has all these like dealings with the mob in the West Blue. He ends up meeting Nika Robin, and it's like, okay, wait, you know about this stuff, like, and then that's like how Baroque work starts. But it's all he only ended up in all of that because he was a part of one of these like hunting games. And then if you kind of like look at the dialogue when he's like talking to Mihawk recently, it feels like if all of the not that it needs to be this, but if all of the warlords were former like survivors of the games, or had some sort of secret alliance like the Cross Guild. So it's like Mihawk was a part of one of them. Moria, being from the West Blue, also would have been old enough to have been there. It's like, it would just like give a story purpose to a lot of desires and everything. And it's like, if they saw Roger move and then went to his execution and then like were inspired, it just adds these layers of inspiration that like plus I just want just Crocodile gas.
Well, the I like that you mentioned the Dufel thing, because this is why I never, like, when people bring up theories and whatever crazy, it's like I hate when they shoot it down without understanding that like the premise, the starting point, or even some of the premise could be incorrect, but the result could be right. And so this theory I had spawned from when Clone Piece started, and it was that again, like the premise, the result is that Crocodile was somehow related to Dufeld. Now, the starting point, Clone Piece, right? That part could be incorrect. But the part that I realized was like, well, Dufeld is known as the finance guy. He's a loan shark. And the only other loaning person in the story is Crocodile. He financed Buggy's delivery service. And then he became a loan shark before Cross Guild started. And so it's like, well, he also looks exactly like a bad, like Crocodile looks like a good timeline Dufeld, or Dufeld's a bad timeline Crocodile. They wear the same thing, but also my man like left Impel down, and it immediately was like looking like a trust fund kid. He was just housed up in like a castle. I'm like, yo, no, some kind of thing.
No, but that's why Crocodile is the uncontested drip god of One Piece, though, is because in the middle of a prison break, he dipped to get his drip.
Clothes. Yeah.
He was like, hold up, I'll be back. Knew exactly where the lockers were, all of that, and he, and then he came back. He actually came back, and he was like, okay, let me open these doors for you and everything, but I had to go and do me real quick. So I always respect Crocodile for that.
Just like how you and I both knew to come to this stream with a Dragon Ball shirt on, like we knew we were, just gotta do it, had to do it. Crocodile, he knows, he always shows up. He always shows up right.
It's low-key one of my favorite moments in One Piece is when he just appears out of nowhere with his coat.
Yeah, it has to. And then that's like the thing. It's like for again, this was like a short video, but if I were to make a longer video on it, which I don't know, maybe when Cross Guild gets reintroduced, then I'll prioritize it. But it was that Crocodile has some crazy, like, how does he know about Pluton? Spandam knew about Pluton because like he's in the world government and he was literally talking to the Gorosei, right? We still don't know how Crocodile knows that, but here's the other part. Like I was thinking, well, Dufeld is working with Vegapunk. He's financing Mads. Their project was to do clones. So I don't know about anybody knows about like when a billionaire finances your a startup science project, it's because they want something from your startup science project. And what did Dufeld want? He didn't do it for free. He for sure didn't do it for free. And what Vegapunk was going to make a return on it, like that's not even Vegapunk's character at this point. But the other part of it is we know Spandam had Funk Freed probably from Vegapunk because he had that. Well, even the Devil Fruits, he had the Celestial Dragon world government connection.
Lasso is from Vegapunk.
Crocodile. How did Crocodile have a lasso underneath his Baroque's works? It would make sense if he had some kind of weird connection.
I talk about this all the time. Like Crocodile was tied to the very first iteration of anything Vegapunk related.
Right, exactly. That's on, man. It's so fun. I just say something and you already knew it.
No, because
awesome.
because dude,
if I were to make videos for you, my videos would all be 6 minutes long because I wouldn't need to explain a lot of things. You would know. My videos are 50 minutes long because I explain so much. I literally said something like, "Oh man, no, that's it. Yeah, we just talked about." Man, I'm gonna make a whole separate channel making videos for
you. Nah, bro, like people sleep on like the importance of Alabasta. It's when we learned about the ancient weapons. It's when we learned about Vegapunk's inventions. It's when we learned about the Void history. It told us everything, and it had Crocodile at the center of all of it. So it's like as we start getting into these ancient weapons and everything, like Crocodile needs to come back and play a big role. And like what happens? Like we're in the final saga. Who's back? Crocodile in a big way. And it can only escalate from here. That's why like which stocks are down a little bit, but I'm still holding true to like Caribou being former Baroque works because of the drawing in the color walk. Do you know about this?
Wait, say the thing again.
So in the color walks, Oda drew
I have them
like
all right here.
Yeah, Oda drew what some of the other Baroque works members look like that we didn't get to see. And Mr. 10 looks like Caribou.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was there when you put it up on stream. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then
it's like now I really wanted the person that Caribou wanted to tell. I really wanted it to be Crocodile, but it now he's playing Blackbeard. But it's like, is he serious or is he playing a game just to get off the island during a Buster call? It's like it sounds like Cope, but it's like at the same time, it's just how did he know about ancient weapons in the first place? Like what?
Yeah, I always loved that thing. So I had a video saying it's probably Blackbeard, but then that was before you had said the whole Crocodile. I'm like, oh wow, like the swamp, sand, like it just all kind of like works together.
But tie it to the person who told us what ancient weapons were in the first place. Like that's what I really want to just come out of this. I just want Crocodile gas. Like I need the Cross Guild to come in. I know they will. I know they're gonna be a way more important role than I think most people expect, because most fans weren't even really reading when Crocodile was like heavy into the story, or like people.
I wasn't.
It's just it just is what it is.
I was watching.
Yeah,
I was watching, but years later. Parts on YouTube.
Right. Get through some of these other chats here. Dawn Knight 1993 said 2 titans and pillars of the One Piece community. Thank you, DK. Eric Veltri, member for 19 months, said no better day to celebrate 19 months than with 2 GOAT OP cooks. Thoughts on Dragon moving right now? There are 2 panels of potential movement in 1109. We spent a good time talking about Dragon. We may have even talked about that after this message, so we might have actually answered this. But it's like we want him to move. But I actually never actually finished my point on that. What I think all of Egghead is actually leading up to is that what this message will do is galvanize the rest of the world. So it's not. So I actually I think I got on a tangent about Robin, and I never went back to finish this point. But the point is like the same way that we got to see like everybody reacting to Flame Emperor Sabo and that like uprisings occurred. Everybody taking out their snails and watching this video is going to like multiply that by like an obscene degree to where like every nation in the world is now, instead of like having pillars to the Flame Emperor, they're going to have pillars to Nika, you know, and it's like everybody's going to grab pitchforks, and now it's like, okay, it's time to take down the government because we know the truth now. And, you know, that's kind of how I feel. And Dragon will take that on. He won't go to Egghead. Yeah. He'll work with the people to do that.
On the point of not finishing that part, I was going to ask you also, do you think, because I think a lot of people are sleeping on the part that Shaka called Dragon and told him like his premonition about that.
Yeah. So it's like, is he involved in this pre-recorded message? Like, right. And going back to what you were saying earlier too, of like, I think you were saying it, where it's like, is it, you know, we were talking about Princess in the Other Castle. Is it not, you know, they're trying to get into the lava phase, but it's actually being projected
and
from Kamabaka.
Specifically, one of the major reasons why I would like that is because Dragon seems to have enough to white denden mushis, which are the denden mushis you cannot wiretap, you cannot disrupt the thing. So if Dragon has that with his soldiers, Sabo was supposed to call with that according to like protocol, whatever, but obviously he couldn't. But like that's because they have those. I think there's even a panel or a cover story where Dragon's like watering white denden mushis or something like that. And so like it would make a lot of sense if Dragon was pushing out that message, but also because there's also the thematic of like in my last Dragon video, I was saying like they are supposed to be the wind to the flames of revolution, but also Vegapunk now 2 or 3 times, I think 2 times, Morgans and now also separate other people have said Vegapunk is the man who lit up the world. So now if it lights them up with all this knowledge, that will spark the flames of revolution.
Yeah,
and who best to carry it is the Revs. And so I like, as far as Dragon showing up himself, yeah, sure, I'll always want that. Is it necessary? Maybe not. Now, I do understand that from a community perspective, Dragon will not survive the slander regardless, right? Even if he shows up, there's no world where Oda gives him that much weight in this moment. Like, he'd have to do literally every single piece of magic that Randy said on stream today for like him to reverse course in the community right now. We need like the recency bias to go away, and I think Oda knows that. So we're just gonna get Dragon to be the same character he's always been and have the narrative weight of being the support like he's always been. And that's why, you know, Shaka called him. It's like, hey, I'm gonna be lighting up the world. You better be prepared. You may not have been prepared for all these other times, but this time you gotta be, right? And like,
because it's like, so, you see everybody else there, which could be used as a way to like combat this and say no, or it could be used as a way for, but it's like everybody else on Kamabaka doesn't know anything about this message, doesn't know what's going on. They're just kind of tuning in on their own. But then it cuts to Dragon specifically remembering those lines and looking off, and it's like implying like, is he involved? Does he know what's happening here? What was the end of that conversation? Because that conversation was cut short. So it's like Dragon has something to do with this in some way, or knows something about it, and that's what we need to figure out.
Yeah. Real quick, I forgot why, because this is the next video, but I'll spoil it. Just an idea. It's not even like a theory. It's just like a feeling. It's a feeling, okay? One of the reasons why I wouldn't be mad if Vegapunk were the one to say the Ancient Kingdom name is because I was thinking, and I got it because the last Baby Pluto and a few of them know from the watch party. When the anime did the Ohara flashback, I looked at Clover and I was like, what if Shaka is a clone of Clover? And that would be kind of crazy, because then he takes out the helmet. And the reason why I like that idea is because the moment that comes across is Clover was shot in the head from the front to back. And then Shaka was shot from the back to front in the same way, assassinated with a gun to the head. And I'm like, hold on. And now he's telling the truth of the world. And maybe if it's Clover saying it, then it's literally Clover, carrying that Will of O'Hara, and that'd be like crazy for a story. Again, it's not like a full theory, but it was like a vibe thing that fit in the context of a whole.
See, that is okay, and that like emulates the same feeling of why like I always said that I didn't want Caribou to be tied to Blackbeard until I saw the way that Oda executed it, where he basically made him like the inverted Bartolomeo, which I was talking about earlier in the stream, the yin and yang between Blackbeard and Luffy. And it's like they both have their, they have someone that can warp. We need someone that can warp, but now they also have a fanboy on each side. So it's like it's just these extra layers. So it's like if Oda didn't do that thing where he made him like this Bartolomeo clone or this dark version of Bartolomeo, I wouldn't have liked it as much, but when he presented it that way, it's fine. If it was a thing where it really felt like it was coming from Clover, then I would feel okay with it not being Robin. But if it's just Vegapunk, I still like it. Right. That doesn't do it for you. But you add that extra layer, and it's like, okay, now that's where it goes. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that Oda is always really does, he's always great at presenting it that way. So it's just but I still have to say, the way that it's like this is the cheap way to do it. Oda's gonna do it in a good way, and that's you're in Robin's corner, and nobody can be mad at that. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I agree with you. That's why I agree with you, and that's why. I am mad at him. I am mad at him about like I'm still mad about 1089. Still mad about him skipping over all of that stuff. Coming back to it, and now Robin's in a stretcher, and it's like apparently she had some sort of a fight. She had some sort of a fight part? After, it's like, I guess I got to wait another 16 years for her to like fight somebody. I don't know. Hey, if any consolation prize, same with Zoro, right? Like Zoro went through the ringer, was fighting base Lucci for, at least Robin didn't get that, right? Like some kind of demoralizing random accusation. Zoro had to live with, he's fighting base Lucci for 20 chapters ish. I'm like, that doesn't bother me as much as Robin having a fight and not seeing it. Because Robin has always like been sidelined with fights to begin with. Like she had a fight in Skypiea, and then she had a fight in Onigashima. Like that's it. So it's like, Oda, did you plan to have this character? Did you make up Enies Lobby on the spot and then forget this character exists? Like I don't know. It's like I'm still salty that she didn't actually fight in Dressrosa, because it's like it seemed like it was leading up to that, and then she just played support, and it's like it just goes back to Oda saying, I regret giving Robin these powers because she would kill anybody instantaneously. I don't know what to do. And it's
like the scene that I'm thinking of is like is it Cavendish and Barto? Cavendish is running at her at Hakuba. Barto's like just run, and then Robin's like, why? And then she just solves everything just like this, and then everyone's like, oh, I guess she's cracked. And I'm like, yeah, she's cracked. And literally Hakuba soloed everybody. Nobody could stop him, and she just like grabbed him by the just like gave him a hug, just straight up hugged him with her arms, and it was over. Right. Didn't even do Giganto Mano or anything like that.
You know what would be cool?
She soloed basically Diamante. Like a lot of that was that was like her fight, kind of, but he was Kiros. All I'm saying, she didn't do the hand umbrella thing. They were all skewered, right? Like she protected them from.
Look, and I love Kiros. Kiros is one of my goats, but that just I don't know. That just wasn't it. But the what would have been cool is like you introduce these photonic gloves that can touch light. It's like, let's get a recreation
Don't remind me
of the Hakuba thing. Have Robin put on the gloves and then just grab Kizaru. Like that would have been great. Like it doesn't matter how fast you are, if I can grab you. Like anything. Oda said that Vegapunk would tell us everything about devil fruits. He hasn't yet. The message will be about devil fruits and that Emu blew up Leloucia. Depends on how long ago he recorded this message. Like, was it post Leloucia? Because then, sure. I do believe that it will. I think the main thing that is like the safest thing to say is that he will reveal Emu, because I feel like that's everything that's been leading up to this.
But don't you feel like that's Sabo's thing? Speaking of characters that you go to box for, Sabo is in that realm. Revs.
No, it's like, if it's, I would rather have Wapol do it than Sabo, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
It's like it's not. When I think of characters on like what they need to do.
Yeah.
When I think of Sabo, it's that like he's going to take down the government, but I don't think that he needs to expose the government.
He's not the message.
Whereas like big news, like revealing that information based on Wapol's intel, like that would have more weight and would feel way more interesting, considering like here's a character from the pre-time skip, and it's like one of the biggest things that they did. Like it's almost funny,
Was there ever a gag where Wapol had to like draw? I'm feeling like during that time, Oda had random characters like scribble. Oh no, that's Baroque Works. The bird drew the Straw Hats. I think, and they were like amazing.
Well, it was actually Mr. 13 that does the drawing, the otter. But
the otter.
Yeah, so he does the drawing, and then in the cover story, Hina beat him up and made him draw all of Baroque Works pictures for their bounty posters.
Did Vivi ever draw anything? Because I'm just wondering, because like Wapol has that info, but like he needs a sketch artist, right?
No, Carrot was the one that did like little shoujo sketches. That was like her thing.
Damn, that's one reason to keep Carrot. Damn it.
Well, she would need to be on the blimp, so.
Yeah, send her there. We don't know where she went in the reality of things. Like, some people think she's still in the barrel on the Sunny. I'm not gonna name names, but
they're reading 3-piece. Ronnie Williams, member for 7 months, said, like D-Stream, make sure you are subbed to our community's 2 goats. Yes.
Come with me if you want to live.
Hit that button. Appreciate you. 00 Flevance said, Buggy missing an eye, hand, or foot to complete the trio post-Final War.
Like he's saying he gives Shanks his arm, like Blackbeard loses a leg, and then he gives Blackbeard a leg. Like, what does he mean by that? Like, I'm just picturing Buggy's arm on Shanks's side. That'd be kind of crazy.
Well, let's see.
Straw Hats, dude. Usopp is the artist for the Straw Hats. I think Usopp.
Oh yeah, Usopp's the artist for the Straw Hats for sure.
Yeah.
Like he even says in his introduction, like, think of me as the painter, and he draws the thing, which is why I was like, is he gonna get controversy for? That was like one of my things I brought up a lot during Mono.
Andro's food's so cracked.
I know, and it would be like something really great for Usopp to have eaten or fed to the Kabuto. Yeah, 00 Flevance, I would love, you always have great stuff. Just type it in the chat. I'd love to know what you're referring to. Like,
loses in the cross. 3.
He loses all 3. Is this like a cross guild thing? Because like Crocodile doesn't have a hand, or a Shanks thing because Shanks doesn't have an arm. Like which trio are we talking about? Like are we talking about like the other Yonko? Because it's like at that point, what is Luffy missing and what is Blackbeard missing, and what is Mihawk missing? Because I'm trying to think of the specific trio we're talking about here.
I'm trying to think of like amputated trios in One Piece. I'm like, I don't think Oda has done that trio yet.
Yeah. But there is definitely a lot of buggy stuff that we're gonna get eventually. Let's see.
Sure.
V Peak Fiction, member for 30 months, said the Wano ancient weapon is Godzilla or a sleeping kaiju. Well, I do believe that it will be a creature, just like the Sea Kings are creatures, and I am taking literally the words that it needs to wake up, and I believe
that's the mole.
The mole, yeah, I know Dak's in the chat, so it could be a mole. It could be.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's some sort of land king, and then we get the sky kings, and then we have
Wouldn't be mad.
We have the conduits that can control them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Little Fleming said he's gonna be missing all of them. He's gonna be a mess. Well, I mean, like he's like it's just gonna be like him missing parts again. I mean, it would be a nice gag to continue. Like if he like lost some of his parts and then he's like walking and he's seeing Laugh Tale, but he's like missing like different parts of his body, and it's like it's so beautiful, but he looks terrible. Mm-hmm. Saint Constantine, member for 10 months, said, Mr. Part, sorry if you talked about it. Do you guys think the Gorosei used to be human? Or are they at the base of a devil fruit, for example? I'm of the side that they are the basis for it. So I don't they could have devil fruits. Like, yeah, could it be a mythical Ushio, no Mi model Yuki or something that Saturn has? Sure. But I think what Oda is trying to do, and what he was like trying to hint at during Wano and Onigashima in the first place, is that these mythologies actually exist in this world in the first place and could be the basis of this stuff. So it's like in the Void Century there was a Nika, and now there is a Nika fruit. So these Gorosei members, there may be fruits that are out there that are based off of them, and that. But they are the basis for it. And then I talked about this pretty recently in a stream too, and someone was like, but how do you explain the awakening flame? And it's like, well, that's what deities have in the first place, so it doesn't actually combat that. It's just like that's what it would be. And it's like if you ate the Gyuki or the Ushi no Mi or something like that, like maybe Dalton, like when he awakens, like he actually ends up looking like Saturn or something. He gets the flame, maybe he grows some legs, like, and then you find out that his Ushi no Mi is actually the model Gyuki or something like that. I just thought of that, but that would actually be pretty crazy.
Yeah, going back to the Devil Seed thing, that's actually I think that's the end of the video, saying that like later on, I wouldn't be surprised if like characters like the Gorosei or like these end tier characters, they're the seeds for the Devil Fruit, similar to how Nika was the seed for Luffy's fruit and Luffy ate the fruit. It would, to me, if you're from the Void Century, a character like Toki was probably a seed, and it might not be that the Toki no Mi was something that she ate, but more rather that's something she desired because she wanted to see the timeline where the prophecy, whatever she was chasing, came true, and she ended up fulfilling her dreams, and she didn't need to jump into the future anymore. But that doesn't say that her fruit, like we never got the nuance that she eat the fruit or whatever. And also the important thing is Wano called it sorcery in the first place. So they're an isolated country. They used to call it sorcery. Toki's Wano related. We don't know exactly where she was from because she didn't time skip to Wano, but she could be a devil seed. And my thing is that if you're from the Void Century, you more than likely are probably devil seed users. But that's where the recent thing, the awakening, not the clouds, agree with you. If you're a deity thing, whether you're eating the fruit or not, you're gonna get the clouds, because that's just how it works. Like Hyogoro said that about Luffy was in gear 4 and he started getting like the clouds in the shape, and he's like, he looks like a deity. And it's like Yamato had the thing, and she's gonna, if Hyogoro saw that, he'd be like, you look like a deity. That's the thing about it, right? But the one thing that did change my mind a little bit, now keep in mind, I've had a long-standing thing on the channel that we're going to get characters who get devil fruit powers without devil fruits, and it's from haki or magic or knowledge or something of the sorts, and they believe in it, and they believe themselves. Like in the specific video, I said that, for example, if you were a guy and you lived on an ice, like an Iceland for your entire life, and you learned your body, and you did the semi-kikan or body feedback that Chopper talked about, whatever it may be, and you learned about your environment, you could maybe become a Kuzan. You could become an ice human in some sort of fashion. We're probably going to growingly see more examples of that. But the thing that kind of changed my mind with the Gorosei specifically is, one, we don't necessarily know if they're from the Void Century. I can see it go either way. I'm leaning more towards they were the Void Century. There's two parts to it, but when he awakened, or whatever we see of his next final transformation, he like reminds me of the Impel Down unlike successful awakenings, where his eyes changed and he stopped talking in that chapter. Now he did sort of talk, he was using telepathy. It's not that he lost himself, but it kind of reminded me of the Impel Down level awakenings, and I'm kind of curious is like if he were the actual yokai, would he have more mastery of it? And it might be that he doesn't have mastery, and that's when I laughed. I was like, what if let's say Devon is able to create that form with her devil fruit and mimic it? Imagine she's more capable of that specific form, and it might be that the Gorosei are more attuned to magic than the devil fruits, and you know that's why they curse these things. But then the other part,
I
of
do
it
believe that
is,
Devon needs something that makes her different from Mr. Two, but I
don't know if it goes that far.
Some people I are like really think she's going to be able to like
I don't know
utilize people's
all of
powers.
it, yeah.
And it's like if she could utilize powers, then I think Oda would have shown it to us when she was Absalom. So it's like she would have been invisible, turned invisible, and then turned into Devon, and then Shiryu would have appeared being invisible, showing that like not only did they farm his fruit, she can use the ability too because she touched him. Devon is only. Right. I think the difference between Mr. Two and Devon is that Katarina is going to. I think she's going to be able to turn other people into people. So it's like that's. So and that, you know, that's probably the awakening, and I also feel like that's probably something that.
I like
I think that, you know, it's something that Bankley could probably achieve as well, but it's like her and Augur warp somewhere, and then it's like she turns Augur into Saturn, and it's like there's a time limit, and then he'll like switch back or something.
Yeah, I think you know, Naruto and other media kind of molded our vision of what a nine-tailed fox kind of can be, but in reality the Kitsune is like a trickster. It was like a trickster to humans, and so in some versions of it, I don't know, obviously the story has changed in folklore, and sometimes they're destructive, sometimes they actually have the power, but sometimes it's just an illusion. Sometimes they are able to copy the powers, so like they could do a whirlwind or a fire thing, but it's not actually, it looks like it and gives you the feeling that it is, because that's how good of a trickster they are. And the more powerful of a Kitsune that you are, that made you like more capable, it like altered your mind to think that this fire tornado is real, but it's not. And so it's like it could be that, it could be Devon has like more an illusionary based power rather than like just straight up copying powers, because that would be crazy and it'd be insane. But like, hey, listen, like we have Bonnie now. Bonnie is doing stuff like that too, but
but that also goes into the belief thing. And think about when Saturn had her, and it was like, and he was basically saying that her belief was wavering, which was making her weaker. So it's like it's so deeply layered into this, and that's why I think like there will be a level of haki, like in the same way that Devil Fruits can awaken and Luffy can rubberize someone else. You know, it's like you might as well be able to apply that to like any character. So it's like if Diamante were to awaken, he would be able to turn someone else into a flag. You know, it's like it's that same line of thinking. But I think haki awakening, and this goes back into this like magic thing, like something that is beyond even just the idea and the concept of this like magical realm. But if you were, and then like conquerors and all that, but a haki awakening would be being able to give your haki to someone else. Spirit bomb style. So it's just like everybody else transfers their haki and gives it into Luffy, and that's what will be able to allow him to break those barriers. Shout out to Hidden Island, just did a super chat, said shout out to my goats, and gifted 5 memberships.
Together we're stronger.
Man, stronger together.
Together we're stronger.
My guy.
Shout outs to Hidden. Appreciate it. I did lose the last theory. You know, I lost my champion title, but it's fine. Like you said, I got three in the belt. Appreciate you, Hidden. Appreciate you. On that note of the haki stuff, like 100%. Like if you guys were listening to what Randy was saying, check out that first devil fruit equals haki theory, where it's like 2.5 years ago saying these things, and then people are just like, that sounds like magic. It's like, yeah, it's magic. It's like something in between. But the going back to the Saturn part, the one thing, and I have an entire video, I think it's mostly scripted, it's mostly done, it's just I put it on the back burners because I wanted to get these dragon videos out. It was that if they're the project, like if they are the basis, right, of these powers, and they're not devil fruit, like there's like a weird context of the celestial dragons, because they put out the propaganda that devil fruits are sins type of thing, right? Like they're evil, whatever. There's various propagandas floating out there. 2 devil fruits means you die, things like that, right? And then they're feeding the devil fruits to their slaves for fun. That's what we learned in the Boa backstory. But then we also find out in the Kuma backstory that they're also giving them as prizes. Like they were in treasure chests and there were prizes, and they were there. The Celestial Dragons kind of want them, and we don't know, like, are they gonna feed one of their slaves the dragon fruit, the pawpaw fruit? Like, why were those prizes of high value next to like whatever crown jewel?
No.
We don't
See,
know
these are the fruits that I think they were going. It's like it's not that the slaves would eat those fruits, it would be the winners of things. So it's like it would be like Figureland by winning. Would get the fruits. Now, I mean, what they do with them, like, are they going to feed it to their slave, whatever, or are they going to eat it themselves? I don't know, but whatever ones they're using in those games would be sacred, I would think, or what it is because it's also implying that Rox is coming there because he was robbed, and it's like, so was he like Blackbeard collecting devil fruits, then these things got robbed and were now being used as the prizes of this, and they didn't actually have them, and Rox had them first.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like the context, like, we don't know the Celestial Dragons to eat devil fruits themselves, which is why I was on the boat that the Gorosei didn't have the devil fruits and they were the basis. But then there's also the nuance that for some reason, Saturn is running probably the goofiest, most failed science experiment I've ever seen. Not only did he throw valuable product away, he fed one of the most cracked devil fruit abilities to Ginny and just left it to be, and was like, yeah, you can just go die somewhere else. I don't care about the reincarnation. So it makes it feel like maybe he already has that unlock, but then he also didn't know that Bonnie had the power. And when he sees Bonnie, he's like, yeah, toss her away too. And then on top of all that, the failure part was the skin, which Vegapunk solved in a minute.
My man's science was he turned on a blender.
And the major arc.
I'll be right back, bro. I'll be right back.
Okay,
just talk with the chat.
Oh. Gotcha. I'll spread that when Randy comes back, but I'm trying to think what that's a whole Bonnie video. The thumbnail for that, ooh, I could leak that thumbnail. It's kind of actually no, that thumbnail's Sabo. Sabo Ace. That's the thumbnail for that one. Damn, what should I leak? Any other things I could leak? Devon might have 9 illusions in total. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Call Sai. No, I'm not gonna call Sai. 9 dimensions not kicking in. I do have 4 more dragon videos coming in. 2 of them are done scripted wise. I'm gonna record them right after this. Then there's 2 more that are, one is half scripted and the last one is less about dragon, more about elemental haki. But I just want to note, it's just like being on this channel, I'm so glad that Randy hit me up, because I told Dax I was going to do is start collabing again, because I'm starting to get more time and starting to it's a fun thing. My son's growing up, and as he's growing up, he becomes more independent. And it makes the time, like, you can have conversations, whatever, but it's like you don't want to miss when he takes his first steps and he starts babbling. Like, he learned the word purple and things like that. But now he's sleeping on his own, so that's a lot less stressful for my wife and me. So now I can make more videos again. And like his health stuff, my health stuff, we're all on clear waters. So it's all good, and make the most of it. But it's kind of funny. I'm making the most of it, making this dragon video. These dragons videos. videos all across your eyes. And man, there's so many other ones. Which one can I leak? There's a few of them. What's your favorite ship? Okay, Lucy, my favorite ship would have been Buggies if Oda was watching hard enough. My guy in the SBS, he named it the Big Top Blaster or something. Our name for Buggy's ship was so much better. It was the Last Laugh. The Last Laugh being Buggy's ship name would have been so good. And then he named the Big Top Blaster. I'm not mad. But you know, Last Laugh was harder.
That would have been a good name for the ship.
Yeah, that would have been a. You know, again, it's just this ship name. Lucy B asked me what my favorite ship was. You know, that would have been a good one.
What did you say is your favorite ship?
You came in right when I was like, on the top of my mind was that SBS or Oda named it, so I said that. But I don't know. I feel like there's a few ships that like were like Thriller Bark is kind of sick, right? Moria aside, like it's an entire island, and he has like
I want the lore behind that though.
Yeah, I do too. I think there's gonna be insane stuff because that's from the West Blue too. So you know, West Blue's cooking.
Moria's coming back though. I think that the whole point of tying Perona to Mihawk in the first place is to get Moria involved in the Cross Guild. So he's gonna try and like Perona is gonna try and seek refuge with Moria with Mihawk, and they're gonna land, you know, where narration box whatever yesterday or something, and it's empty bluffs, and it's like the Cross Guild fighting S Croc, S Flamingo, and S Moria, you know, whatever he is, S Gecko, S Bat, whatever. And Moria's gonna get there, S Lizard, and Moria's gonna get there just as like the island is like on fire from all this fighting. It's gonna be like, oh man, we were supposed to be trying to, you know, get safe. And then
I do want Prime Moria because like technically Prime Moria scales like theoretically because he was boxing. Yeah, he lost, but like he didn't die, which is kind of crazy against Kaido in Wano, right? Like he didn't die, which is wild.
The only thing that he needs to do to become Prime Moria is to like get his ambition and will back. So it's like I feel like he was weaker against Luffy because he had given into gluttony and just like this lifestyle where it was just like
zombie craze.
Yeah, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to lift a finger. I'm not going to...
Which is why I think like the Blackbeard arc is really insane because Absalom is his one, like I just talked about this recently, like Perona technically doesn't count in Moria's thing because it's like father-daughter kind of thing, right? And Hogback was literally just a mercenary scientist for hire kind of thing. When shit was hitting the fan in Thriller Bark, Hogback was like, let's bounce, guys. And then I think someone was like, wait, what do you mean? And he's like, I just came here to make zombies. What do you mean? And then so Absalom is that ride or die. Like I made the comparison, like my man came up and he's just like, I'm a lion elephant man now. That's sick, Moria. And then he saved Moria at Marineford from Doflamingo. And
that's his dude.
And Moria's entire arc was, I don't need people alive on my crew anymore. They're a hindrance. That's what he learned from Kaido. But the one exception technically was Absalom, and he went to bat against Blackbeard for Absalom. And now if Absalom's truly dead, whatever he learns from that moment, whatever happens in that regard, that could be how Moria comes into his prime thing again, because Absalom is the character that essentially Moria can like mentally grow from his Kaido loss, which he hasn't. Like you said, ever since Kaido, he's been in that low rut. Now, I'm not going to go as far as Cope and say like, yeah, that's why he didn't show haki on Thriller Bark. I'm not going to go as far as say that. Well, I believe that, but like, yeah, that's a whole different thing. Like for someone to be so sad they just can't manifest haki, period. I don't know about that. Now, Oda could come in the SBS and be like, yeah, like he didn't really, you know, Thriller Bark. Like Oda's gonna do one of those things where he looks the other way. It's like
Moria, or at least his fruit, is gonna be very important in the end game.
Yeah,
I
Shadow's
feel
Theory. Shadows Theory. That's throwback to our first collab.
Yup. You know this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got another super chat. I think I think this will be the last one, and then wrap the stream up. Get back to the birthday festivities for Chrissy, and watching the Oscars and all the stuff that goes on with today. Yeah, that's today.
Oscars are today?
Oscars are today, man. It's
Okay.
a
Daylight
busy
savings.
day. Daylight
on
savings,
Oscars.
Mario Day.
Savage.
Yeah, big day.
Big day. Chrissy's the most important of all
Absolutely.
the things that you mentioned. I would try to abolish daylight savings. Oscars, sure. Chrissy, she a real one, for sure.
Oh man. Question Kelly said, if the Gorosei can heal from any physical injury, maybe Luffy will learn to damage the spirit's soul. Ryu and Advanced Conquerors might be the building blocks for it. So we talked about this extensively throughout this stream, and like the magic of advanced haki in the first place, and a haki awakening would be others giving their haki to Luffy, which would give him the ability to damage.
So this is another. Oh man, someone bring it. This is probably the craziest theory I've ever had on my channel, and this is one of the oldest. I almost never posted, but this is one of the first. Right after the Devil Fruits are training for wheels for peak hockey. The next one is Zoro is going to become a natural Zoan, which is the premise that we're thinking about with the Gorosei, kind of like they're not the Devil Fruits, they're the basis. And the thing with Zoro is like the anime gave him a tiger heart, so many different things. I didn't even have that 2 years ago for this, but the main thing in that video that tied just now was that I was saying that he will probably demonstrate spiritual cutting. Like he's going to be able to cut someone's spirit, which he technically showed against Ryuma, because he didn't cut Ryuma's body, but it lit up into blue flames. And in Japan, the blue-green flame, that's how you depict someone's body, their soul leaving their whatever they possess. Even if it's not their body, if they possess, like, if I don't know, this jacket. Let's say I got the jacket no Mi, and I possess this jacket, and someone ripped the jacket or purified the jacket. Technically, my spirit would leave in the I think it's called a kotodama. I think that's what it is, where it's a blue or green fire and it leaves, and that's what happened to Ryuma. And even Ryuma was like, "What? I ignited on fire?" And Zoro was just being Zoro. But that's again, Zoro time and time again has leaked out these cracked powers that come up later on, and I think the spiritual ability to hurt someone's spirit is not only something I gave Zoro, but I also hit it with Sanji in the 90-minute video also has that. So I don't think it's just Luffy. I think Zoro and Sanji will be able to do that if that's the premise of how they hurt Saturn. Now listen, that was just a theory. It might even be a game theory, but like, listen, we're cooking. Magic is here. We're here. Luffy's out here staring out 5 Gorosei, and we're not even like, we don't even know who Dragon is. I never in my bingo cards did I think that we'd see all the I didn't think we'd see the transformation of Saint Saturn, that their names are the planets, and we still don't know anything about Dragon. It's so crazy.
Because he's endgame. He's endgame.
Yeah. You're speaking my love language there.
And
he's endgame, baby.
I missed this one from earlier. Axe D Bartlett said, "My mom is coming back very soon. Love you guys." I think they're referring to Big Mom. I am on the train that Big Mom is alive, and that was taken away like at the end of Wano, and that's what like that little brief panel about the Big Mom pirates was about. I'm also really curious where we're going with this new cover story, which is showing us old Wano. Which, is this going to be the reveal of like what happened to Big Mom and Kaido? Like, is that going to be the purpose of this? If it's something about the ancient weapons, I feel like that should not be happening in a cover story.
The most important thing I think we'll see, the Uo no Mi fish model dragon is gonna be like, "Hey, my castle's back," and he's gonna be chilling in there. And like, Momo just gave his real estate back. Oh my God, free real estate. That's crazy in 2024. I would never turn that thing into a tourist trap.
Well, I mean, now that you said free real estate, I gotta hit the button.
Woo! Dang, I still need to get that soundboard.
Where did I put that? I have too many buttons, man. That's like that one's.
Randy's out here like Vegapunk. It's just like.
Oh, there it is.
It's free real estate.
Shoutouts.
All right, so I think I'm gonna wrap things up. Anything that you want everybody in the chat to look out for? Tell them where to find you if they don't already know where you are. And
yeah, I mean, I kind of did that when you left earlier, and you know, it was good timing because then I could just say like, you know, thank you guys, thank you Captain Randy Troy and the Savage crew for first Theory for Theory of this year, but also like the timing of this was just like kind of crazy because I was telling Dax I was gonna do I'm gonna start doing collab streams again because like Zen's finally, you know, getting older and he's doing more independent things and sleeping on his own, so that's a huge, you know,
there you go.
Yeah, fall asleep on their own. Nights are mine again. So as far as things to look forward to on my channel, it's more of, you know, like things that I love. I loved talking with you, Randy, and sharing ideas, going back and forth. And that's something that, like, honestly, as far as being content creator goes, like the conversations is the most like fulfilling part. And I'm glad you hit me up, like literally, you know, set me up to now carry this momentum forward. So I'll probably be bringing back like later in the day, Sundays. Wait, oh yeah, that's another thing. We stopped because I used to hop into your streams all the time, your chapter reactions, but that's because, you know, you weren't doing the officials at the time, but now you're doing the officials for obvious reasons. And now it makes me sad because like by then it's like, you know, I can't, like I'm busy and all this stuff. But what time do you do your reactions? Because then I'll schedule my stuff after all that, you know, like later.
For me, it's usually between like 10 and 12, 1 p.m. Yeah, it's the same time as this stream. Like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Perfect. Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, so Randy, thank you so much again. Like I don't know. I think like also because we started the stream on the Akira Toriyama stuff, and I've just been like you said, like it's hard. Like putting into words what that like moment means, but obviously impacted you, impacted me, impacted. We have someone who's reading weekly Dragon Ball, you know, young soul in there, and it's got me in this nostalgia mood. And similarly, the fact that you're wearing the same shirt that we first collabed on, we talked about the shadows.
Yeah, which theory. I didn't think of. Like it was not. This is weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's just. And then I show, you know, the dragon. It's that's how ingrained it is. And and again, like all these, like throughout this stream, like all these things. One is like not that I forgot these things, but I remember, like I was like, oh my god, wait, I did talk about this. There's another video. I was like, and then these are all like from 2 years ago. So super grateful for you, like reawakening a lot of these things, the magic talk, all that stuff, and then just remembering like my Mindro video. Like I swear, 90% of it's always referencing Dragon Ball. And just like these OGs, and like even, you know, as much as I meme on it, you're like OG in the community in One Piece. You were out here translating or One Piece and all that stuff. And man, it's just super grateful for. Oh yeah, and you were in the pre-Arlong Park, right? Like you said something like that. You were both. Yeah. So like shout outs to the OG Randy for you know, always keeping it real and bringing me in like this. I can't be more grateful as timing works out. Just it's crazy how life works. Like hopefully I get to see you this year again at LA if I go out to that.
Yeah, you know, man. You know, hit me up, man. You know, you can do something in person too. Come over.
Yeah. That sounds good. And then as far as channel specifically, 4 more dragon videos that I'm 100% I can't because I keep on saying, oh, I'm gonna do a part 2 Nami video. It never comes out. It's there, it just never comes out. I'm just gonna do all the dragon videos, do all the videos all at once. Next 4 videos are dragon, then it should be a Saturn video, then should be part 2 Beatles, something like that. But along the way, I'm definitely gonna be talking with Randy and other creators, so look forward to that, guys. And again, more and more Savage crew, and hopefully, you know, bring back you know, maybe there's a reverie this year, maybe there's other things, and more and more conversations. We're at a good crazy time. I feel like One Piece just keeps on being a better time to talk about One Piece.
No,
It's
and this
amazing.
was a great discussion. I gotta hit the Neil deGrasse Ascension button.
Man, you got the best memes on lock.
Hey.
Heat on feet.
Well, that one was that. I mean, that was an invention right there. So
Yeah.
and the be spicy.
I still can't
That's
believe
me.
I didn't.
That's me saying that.
When we first got, I didn't even know that was you. And then Joy Girl told me later. I was like, what? And then she showed me the videos, and I felt I was in a fever dream. I was like, huh? And it was your music video and her dance video. We still have that bet. Joy Girl still lost the bet to me. She has to dance to one of my music video stuff. So that's cool. Now that she's a lawyer, that's gonna be even more fun.
The warrior of litigation. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I keep trying to get Joy Girl on for a collab, but it's so hard juggling the time zones.
She got billable hours now too.
But anyway, gonna wrap this up, guys. Everybody, do me a favor, drop some more happy birthdays for Chrissy in the chat, some W's for Par, and enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your weekend, the Oscars if you're gonna watch. And I'll see everybody here for 11:10 on Sunday. And
real quick, this is Math Piece. You're the maker. You have Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he does not compare to your level of Einstein cooking. Right? You could be a satellite for Vegapunk. Do you think, Randy, chapter 11:11 is Zoro piece?
it should be, yeah. I mean, if Oda drops the ball on that, like, because the other thing too is like, I've been hit or miss on the like 1,000 chapters from thing, like 1,000 chapters from Dragon, like that, he still appeared in the chapter, but it's just ... and like the Giants, they came back in 1106, and they were introduced in 106. So it still has all of the numbers of it. Like 106 is in the chapter.
Yeah.
116 is in the chapter title. So it's in the chapter number. So it's like he's still doing these number things, and it was also Brogy's birthday when they appeared too. So it's like the birthday thing is something that I feel like is even more reliable than the math, and it's just
Zoro's birthday.
So for Zoro's birthday, I feel like and it may just be like 2 panels or something, but it's like we'll see Zoro and it'll be like he's been waiting to have him defeat Lucci or whatever until then, or that'll be when he fights Gandhi, or maybe like Ethan, beats him, and then it's like, but he said he would never lose, and it's like now he has a new promise and all this stuff, and he has a new goal. Yeah. Like there's something that could happen, but the other thing too is like there's a lot of stuff that could get in the way of that, and it's like 1111 has a lot of like spiritual and like mythological meaning to it as well. So it's like if we start, so yeah, make a wish. So it's like believe, like all of that. So it's like maybe it was never about Zoro, but that's when the actual message gets out. Mm-hmm. So it's like we start actually getting it. So like 1110 is still kind of like getting the running the clock down, and then 1111 is when the message actually comes out, and it's like this great number that means so much to a lot of people actually is where we get the true history or something. So it's like I think 1111 will still be a great chapter. It's like you even go back and it's like Oda did do something that was like 1,000 chapters later in a way, or 1,100 chapters later, where it's like in 1101 he mirrored what happened in chapter 1 with Luffy starting his journey and hitting the Sea King. Bonnie started her journey and hit Alpha. It's like there's all of these different mirror things, and it's a lot of stuff that still there's so much, like, people try to clown Math Piece and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, this is ruining theories and all this stuff, and it's just like, I'm sorry that it's true. Like, you can't change the fact that like Dorian Broggie used Hakoko sovereignty like 22 years after the, or 23, whatever the number is, like to the day that they actually used Hakoko sovereignty in the first place against the goldfish. Like,
yeah,
it's, kids showing up on his birthday.
Dragon also said it.
Lucci,
he said legends that are of the future, or legends of the past will endure in the future. That's chapter 100, right? So yeah.
Luffy and Lucci started battling post time skip on the anniversary of them ever having their first battle pre time skip. So it's the Reverie was exactly 5 years after the start of the Reverie and mirrored everything. It was like this chapter that introduced Miosgard. 5 years later, that's his execution. It's like it's so purposeful and methodical, but it's like it's hard to pin down exactly what it is. But once it happens, then it's like, oh, this is what he was doing.
Yeah, this is the formula.
Yeah.
So now I know if when the day comes, if Randy ever writes a series and I'm here reacting to him weekly or something like that, I'm gonna be looking for that character with like Chrissy's birthday, Randy's birthday. There's gonna be, that character, that chapter, that week. It's gonna be cracked. So, I didn't mean to extend the chapter or the discussion more, but just want to say happy birthday, Chrissy, and thank you for having me on. And I'm glad I'll always be bringing up Math Piece. I love that. People always bring it up. I love it.
No, thanks to everybody in the chat. A lot of goats came out today. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate all of all the subscribers, all the members, everybody that hasn't hit the button yet also, but hit the button.
Appreciate it.
And check out is it this way? No, this way. Check out this guy. Check out this guy too. All right.
I think it's this way for me.
Yeah.
Check out this guy too. I mean, you're already checking out this guy, but you know how it goes.
Most of his videos is gonna leave you like this, but it's cool.
It makes no damn sense. Compels me.
It's good times.
Later, guys.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.
Ooh, to be continued.